Chapter 302. Kang World. This, Hulaina looked at the green claw that covered the sky, and all the hair on her body stood up. The whole person seemed to sink into hell, and it was icy cold. No, don't, Hulaina's body trembled, and her face was pale. Despair, at this moment, spread to everyone. Does heaven want to destroy my clan? No, an unwilling cry resounded through heaven and earth. However, it was useless. The claw that covered the sky, from the black cloud, stretched down. In an instant, it grabbed the nether ruins in its hand. Yo, low-grade immortal weapon, not bad. However, without the support of immortal power, it's like scrap iron. Break for this seat. A roar shook heaven and earth. The giant claw that covered the sky clenched hard. Boom, the nether ruins burst apart. Hundreds of thousands of figures fell straight down from the nether ruins. They fell to the ground and were unable to move by the pressure. No, don't! Is my heavenly fox clan going to end like this? God save us! Desperate cries kept ringing. Jie Jie, in the sky there was a burst of strange laughter. In the laughter there was a sense of ridicule. God! Hee ants, you haven't recognized the situation yet. Cultivation is originally going against the heaven. Will God come to save you? It's so funny. Tremble. Despair. The more desperate you are, the more delicious you taste. In the black cloud, the triumphant voice kept coming. A green claw, from the sky, stretched down. Green silk threads, flying down from the claw, shrouded heaven and earth. Endless fear spread throughout everyone's body. At this moment, they could not produce the slightest resistance. There was only despair. Looking at it, the claw that covered the sky was about to fall. At this time, I'm going to fight you! A red streamer soared into the sky. Aiming at the claw, it blasted over. Boom, a deafening sound shook the heavens and earth. Boundless chi waves swept across the world. The sky-covering claw was forced back 100 meters. A red figure stood high up in the sky with an imposing manner. The person that attacked was precisely Huluadi. On the ground, everyone looked at this scene in disbelief. The princess is so powerful? When did that happen? So strong. Even Hulaina's expression changed at this moment. Her face was filled with shock. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he would be the one to be pushed back. In the sky, two green eyes stared blankly at Huluadi. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. After a while, a strange laughter rang out. So it's the clothes you're wearing. Even I can't see its rank, it must be a supreme immortal robe. Haha, I never imagined that I would actually be able to obtain such a peerless immortal treasure. I've struck it rich, I've really struck it rich. Little kid, since you want to stand out, then become my food. I'll start with you. After he said that, swish, 2 rays of green light shot down from his eyes and stared at Huluadi's body. At this moment, Huluadi's body trembled violently. Endless fear, like black ants all over the sky, crawled all over his body. Buzz, above the sky-covering claw, a dazzling green light was emitted, so bright that people could not open their eyes. A shocking pressure emanated from the claw, sweeping heaven and earth. At this moment, everyone on the ground was crawling on the ground, as if pressed to the ground, unable to struggle. In the sky, Huluadi stared blankly at the sky-covering giant hand, as if carrying several Mount Tai on his back. His legs trembled involuntarily. This time, the pressure was 100 times stronger, and there was no power to fight at all. No, Huluadi roared up to the sky as if crazy, frantically extracting the power in his body and pouring it into the clothes on his body. Her whole body trembled, struggling hard. However, in front of such a peerless powerhouse, he couldn't even struggle. He could only watch the sky-covering giant claw come, and he was powerless to do anything. Godly cunning immortal, your great kindness can only be repaid in the next life. Huluadi closed his eyes, shed 2 lines of tears, and quietly waited for death. Unless there was a miracle, he would die without a doubt. Seeing that the sky-covering claw was about to hit Huluadi's body. At this time, merciful cause accumulates good, vows to save all living beings, the golden tin in the hand, shakes open the gate of hell. The pearl in the palm, shines on the boundless world. A wisp of scripture flew from the void. It was densely packed, like golden butterflies flying all over the sky. Zizi, wherever the scripture went, the black clouds sizzled as they burned and quickly retreated. The scripture condensed rapidly, and in less than a moment, it changed into a golden giant Buddha several thousand meters tall. On the giant Buddha's body, the 10,000-meter golden light whistled through the sky and spread throughout the universe. The giant Buddha stretched out a golden palm and reached down from the sky. It seemed slow, but in fact, it was extremely fast. In an instant, it grabbed the green claw. A gentle grip. Kacha, the sound of bones breaking sounded. The green claw broke apart directly and burst into powder. The golden giant hand gently grasped and held Huluadi in the palm of his hand. With a point of his finger, a wisp of golden light went straight into Huluadi's eyebrows. At this moment, she fell asleep peacefully. The scripture all over the sky, with her body flying down, fell to the ground. On the ground, a group of heavenly fox people were lying on the ground, the corners of their mouths raised. Their whole bodies were wrapped in hundreds of millions of scriptures. This kind of great Tao Buddha sound, hearing it in their ears, was particularly comfortable. At the scene, the only one who was uncomfortable was the green humanoid skeleton monster in the black cloud. At this moment, it reacted. A shrill scream shook heaven and earth. He held the skull's head with his remaining palm and roared, "Which bald donkey are you? Do you need to care about this kind of business? You're not good at eating vegetarian and praying to Buddha, but you always come to care about this kind of thing. Do you really think this seat is afraid of you?" The green monster's voice was like thunder shaking out. The black cloud around dispersed cleanly. It looked at the golden giant Buddha, its face full of anger. However, the giant Buddha did not pay attention to it, and even disdained to speak. He just sat cross-legged on the ground, his hands clasped together, and his mouth kept chanting scriptures. The golden tin in the hand, shake open the gate of hell. The pearl in the palm, shine on the boundless world. Endless scriptures, surging rapidly, quickly wrapped the green monster. As long as it touched the monster, it would burn a burst of black smoke. Endless screams resounded through the world. The green monster held its head, stared at the golden Buddha, and roared angrily, "Shut up, damn bald donkey, shut up, please, stop chanting." The green monster was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, boom, with a loud explosion, it crumbled into dust. However, the golden giant Buddha did not stop. In the giant Buddha's eyes there was a gleam of light, looking at the endless void, and his voice was cold. Master said, "You don't need to exist in this world." After speaking, the golden giant Buddha stretched out 2 fingers, pointed at the void, and gently pinched. Buzz! A green monster was gently pinched by his 2 fingers, and no matter how it struggled, it was useless. Spare me, I was wrong. Don't kill me. Do you know this seat, who my lord is? If you touch me, you... The words were not finished. Boom, with a loud explosion, the green monster's body and soul all burst into powder, turned into a ray of green light, flying into the giant Buddha's hand. The giant Buddha waved his right hand. These green lights, like a waterfall, poured down, and poured into every heavenly fox people. At this moment, everyone's strength was rapidly improving. After doing this, the giant Buddha looked around. After confirming that it was safe, the body exploded into countless scriptures, and finally slowly disappeared. As if everything was an illusion. Chapter 303. On top of Two Mountain. Sun How stopped chanting. Tens of millions of white figures sat motionlessly in the void. After a long time, they stood up. Phew, they flew quickly, stood in front of Sun Hao and saluted. All the gratitude, all the emotions, were contained in this one bow. Then, they floated into the sky and gradually disappeared. The world regained its peace. All that was left on the ground were the dried corpses of the heavenly foxes. Hu Luoxian's tears fell uncontrollably as he watched. At this moment, he was not sad but happy. Although the clansmen were all dead, their souls were freed. All of this was thanks to the young master. Many thanks, young master. Young master, I will never forget your great kindness. Hu Luoxian walked to Sun Hao, knelt down, and kowtowed. Xiao Xian, you're welcome. We're late. Sun Hao helped Hu Luoxian up. Young master, you came with me and converted them. Your kindness is heavier than a mountain. I believe that the spirits of my clansmen in heaven will be grateful to you. Young master, I know you still have important matters to attend to, so I won't disturb you. I want to stay and bury their bodies, so I can't accompany you, Hu Luoxian said. Sun Hao glanced at Huang Rumring and nodded slightly after seeing her anxious look. Since I'm leaving, then listen to me play a song, okay? Sun Hao said. Hu Luoxian's eyes lit up. Xiao Ti told him that the godly cunning immortal playing the guqin could enhance his talent. How could he miss such a tune? Many thanks, young master. Hu Luoxian sat cross-legged on the ground, listening attentively. Clang, the sound of the zither rang out. Wisps of 5-colored light streaked across his fingertips and rapidly surged into Hu Luoxian's body. The sound of the zither was as warm as the spring breeze, caressing his face. At this moment, Hu Luoxian felt exceptionally comfortable and was completely intoxicated. Woo! The blood wolf ran to Sun Hao and kept rubbing against his trousers. Seeing Blood Wolf's jealous appearance, Sun Hao smiled slightly. The 5-colored light on his fingertips split into 2 and flew to Hu Luoxian and Blood Wolf respectively. Xue Lang closed his eyes and looked intoxicated. Clang, the sound of the zither continued. From time to time, it would be hurried, like a beacon of fire, causing one's blood to surge. Sometimes, it was low and deep, like the snow in the winter, making one's heart as still as water. Not long after, the music stopped. The multicolored light wrapped Hu Luoxian and Blood Wolf like a cocoon. The multicolored threads drilled into their bodies. At this moment, their realms, souls, fleshly bodies, and mental states were all rapidly improving. Suddenly, Kacha, a sound rang out. Hu Luoxian's barrier instantly shattered. At this moment, he directly reached the immortal realm. Meanwhile, in the sky, dark clouds rose from all directions and pressed down rapidly. Sizzle! The lightning of the immortal tribulation danced in the dark clouds, giving off a terrifying aura. Hu Luoxian's expression could not help changing slightly when he sensed this scene. Come! He gritted his teeth and stared at the sky. In the next second, his expression froze. The dark clouds suddenly dissipated. The sky was clear again. No more? Hu Luoxian stared blankly at this scene. For a moment, he could not believe that all of this was real. The immortal tribulation ended just like that? Not even a single one? Don't we demon immortals have 99 tribulations? What does that mean? Hu Luoxian mumbled to himself. He looked at Sun Hao. Is it related to the young master? It must be so. I didn't expect the young master to be able to control the immortal tribulation. In this world, it seems that only the Thunder Tribulation Sovereign has such strength, right? Could it be that the young master is the Thunder Tribulation Dominator? Hu Luoxian's scalp went numb when he thought of this. Absolutely. Other than the Thunder Tribulation ruler, who else can control the Thunder Tribulation? Unexpectedly, he actually knew the Thunder Tribulation ruler. Hiss, Hu Luoxian gasped, unable to calm down for a long time. Unexpectedly, the young master was actually such an existence. It was too scary. He was such a weak chicken, and the young master actually treated him as a friend. Could it be that he had saved the entire world in his previous life in exchange for such good luck? Young master, thank you. Hu Luoxian's eyes were filled with tears. He calmed himself down and continued to absorb the colorful light around him. Time passed slowly. Sun Hao looked at the fox and the wolf, and the corner of his mouth raised slightly. It was just a small piece of music, yet the two of them had to absorb it for so long. Is this the result of my blessing point exceeding 200,000? My chanting and playing of the zither seem to be more effective. Is it because the more blessing point I have, the more powerful the effect of other skills will be? It must be so. Sun Hao nodded secretly, and his eyes flickered constantly. This discovery was like discovering a new continent. I don't know what will happen after I collect the blessing point. Will it directly turn people into immortal emperors after playing a piece of music? Wouldn't that be too scary? In this way, he was a super invincible existence. He didn't need to do anything at all. He could create countless immortal emperors by playing the zither. Thinking about it, it was extremely scary. I really hope so. Sun Hao's eyes showed a glimmer of hope. Wu, the blood wolf, was the first to finish absorbing and roared toward the sky. The horns on its head grew a lot. There was a blood-colored mark on its forehead. This mark was the Dao seal. It represented that the blood wolf had reached the immortal king realm. The Dao seal exuded a murderous aura, which made people tremble when they saw it. When Huang Ruming saw this scene, her face changed slightly. He actually became an immortal king. The song played by the young master can directly condense the Dao seal? Isn't it only through my own efforts that I can condense it? The young master didn't seem to have this ability before. Could it be that the young master has become stronger again? Thinking of this, Huang Ruming couldn't calm down for a while. Looking at Sun Hao, her expression changed. The distance between me and the young master is getting farther and farther. In this life, how can I be worthy of the young master? Huang Ruming looked gloomy and shook her head slightly. Wu! The blood wolf quickly ran to Sun Hao and kept rubbing his trouser legs, its tail swaying loudly. That licking technique was simply cultivated to the extreme. Sun Hao touched its head. Big wolf, what's going on with the mark between your eyebrows? Young master, that's the Dao seal. Huang Ruming stepped forward and said. What is the Dao seal? Sun Hao asked. Young master, after cultivating to the heavenly immortal realm, you have to choose a great Dao that suits you, condense the Dao seal, cross the immortal king tribulation, and become an immortal king. Huang Ruming said. Can I only choose one? Sun Hao asked. Of course, you can choose several great Dao. However, you need to merge these great Dao together and condense the Dao seal, which is 10 times more difficult, Huang Ruming said. Hearing this, Sun Hao nodded secretly. It seemed that it was not easy to become a powerful immortal king. So, as long as you see the Dao seal between the eyebrows of the big wolf, you can know that it is an immortal king and can't hide it? Sun Hao had just finished saying this. Wu, the blood wolf, let out a low cry. The Dao seal between his eyebrows slowly disappeared. Not only that, even the pair of horns on its head disappeared at this moment. It looked like a little red puppy, stupid and cute. Sun Hao looked at this scene with a surprised face. He looked at the blood wolf. So, the big wolf has crossed the immortal king tribulation? Hearing this, Huang Ruming looked at Sun Hao with a strange expression. This kind of look was fleeting, but it was clearly captured by Sun Hao. I actually asked such a stupid question. Presumably, the Thunder Tribulation giant knew that Ruming was here and was scared away. Just now there was almost thunder, it must be the big wolf's tribulation. Sun Hao nodded secretly. Chapter 304. Kacha. Kacha. The sound of the barrier of the realm breaking rang out. Hu Luoxian sat where he was, trembling with excitement. He broke through 3 levels in a row and became an earth immortal. He was only 1 step away from becoming a sky immortal. Since when was becoming an immortal so simple? This is not what little sister said at all. The godly cunning immortal can only enhance talent. In terms of cultivation level alone, I broke through 4 levels in a row. My state of mind, talent, physical body. I wonder how many times stronger they are. Right now, I feel like my whole body is full of power. This kind of good fortune was unprecedented. The young master's gift was simply earth-shattering and indescribable. It took a long time for Hu Luoxian to calm down. He stood respectfully in front of Sun Hao and bowed deeply. Young master's kindness is as heavy as a mountain, Xiao Xian can't repay it. Please accept my 3 kowtows. After speaking, Hu Luoxian knelt and kowtowed to Sun Hao. Please get up. Sun Hao helped Hu Luoxian up. The stronger the ability, the greater the responsibility. I hope you don't forget your original intention. Young master, don't worry, I will. Hu Luoxian nodded. By the way, I can't mention this method to outsiders. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Hu Luoxian nodded heavily. Well, you put away their bones, we have to leave too. Sun Hao said. Young master, take care. When this matter is over, I will come and find you. He waved goodbye to Hu Luoxian. Sun Hao turned around, looked at Huang Rumring, and said, Rumring, let's fly over on the immortal boat. What? Huang Rumring's expression changed slightly. However, he quickly recovered. Along the way, the spatial turbulence had been avoiding young master. It was like a cat seeing a mouse. Rumring, don't worry. These spatial turbulences are afraid of me. Sun Hao's face was red. The spatial turbulence was clearly afraid of the godly cunning immortal, or more accurately, like a dream. However, Ru Meng was currently cultivating with the body of a mortal, so she could not break her Tao heart. He could only admit it to himself. Huang Ruming's expression trembled when she heard Sun Hao's words. Young master saw through it? Could it be that the young master's experience in the mortal world had already ended? Is young master going to leave me? Huang Ruming's face was full of reluctance. Yes, young master. Huang Ruming waved her right hand and summoned the immortal boat. Go. The 2 of them boarded the immortal boat and sped away. Wherever he went, the spatial turbulence separated on both sides, directly making way for Sun Hao. Space turbulence, make way for young master. I'm afraid young master is an unimaginable existence. Hu Luoxian looked in the direction where the immortal boat disappeared and muttered to himself. It was a long time. Only then did he regain his senses. The young master had given him such a good fortune. There was no way to pay it off. Thank you, young master. Once I'm done burying their remains, I'll come find you. From then on, I, Hu Luoxian, will be your servant. Hu Luoxian looked in the direction where Sun Hao disappeared, and tears were brewing. Buzz, suddenly, ripples appeared in the sky. A sudden change occurred. Kang boundary. Hu Luoxi slowly woke up. So comfortable. She stretched and stood up. He looked up and saw Hu Laina looking at him with a smile. Mother, why are you looking at me like that? Hu Luoxi asked. Check your body. Hu Laina said. Try sensing it? Have I become a cripple? With uneasiness, Hu Luoxi's mind sank into her body, and her pupils suddenly shrank. She was so excited that her body trembled slightly, and she murmured for a long time without spitting out a word. She took a few long breaths before she calmed down. Mother, I actually became a celestial immortal? Is this a dream? It's not a dream. Mother has also become a celestial immortal. This sentence, like a clap of thunder, exploded in her mind. Not only Mother, everyone present has broken through to the immortal realm. As soon as these words came out, Hu Luoxi's small mouth opened into an O shape, and she didn't spit out a word for a long time. In the entire demon ancestor mountain, as long as there were a few immortals, they were the royal family, and their strength was at the peak. Now, the entire Heavenly Fox clan actually had hundreds of thousands of immortals. If this was set out, I'm afraid it would set off a storm. All the races would submit to him. I'm afraid that unifying the entire Xiang star would be a cinch. After the excitement, Huluwadi calmed down. Mother, what happened? Huluwadi asked. After you fainted, a Buddha came, and I only heard a few scriptures, and then I fell asleep. What happened after that, I don't know either, Hulaina said. Everyone's expression was the same, confused. But why would Buddha help us? Huluwadi asked. That's not something I can know. Presumably, Buddha chased us here, killed that monster, and saved us in passing, Hunali said. Hearing this, Huluwadi let out a long sigh of relief. Mother, are we going back now? Huluwadi asked. All right. Hulaina took out her horsetail whisk and gently waved it. In the sky there were ripples. Everyone follow me back to Tushan, Hulaina said. Yes, clan leader. Everyone followed in turn, walked into the teleportation whirlpool, and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already in the sky above Tushan. Looking down, they just saw Huluosian burying the heavenly fox's corpse. Fourth brother. Huluwadi quickly flew down and came to Huluosian's side. When looking at Huluwadi, Huluosian's expression was startled, and he quickly flew over and hugged her. Little sister, you're okay, that's great. Mother, you're still alive. Looking at the familiar figures, Huluosian wept with joy and cried, I thought you were all gone. Well, don't cry, Hulaina said. Mother, I'm not crying, I'm happy. I didn't expect that so many of our clansmen are still alive. Great. What the hell happened? Huluosian asked. Hulaina told him everything that had happened. After Huluosian heard it, he thought secretly. Then, his eyebrows raised. It must be the young master's doing. At that time, the young master was chanting Buddhist scriptures. I didn't expect that he even saved Mother and the others. Young master, your great kindness can't be repaid in 10 lifetimes. Huluosian thought secretly, in a good mood. Brother, you know who is helping us, right? Huluwadi asked. No. Huluosian's face changed slightly, waving his hand again and again. You're lying, your face is red, you're lying. Huluwadi stretched out his hand and pinched Huluosian's ear. Are you going to say it or not? It hurts. It hurts. Be gentle, this is not the place to talk. Hearing this, Huluwadi let go of his hand. Mother, find a safe place. Okay. Hunali nodded and looked at the crowd of clansmen. You start to bury the clansmen. Yes. Under the arrangement of the elders, the clansmen began to move. Hunali took Huluosian and disappeared in place in an instant. When they appeared again, they had already come to a certain cave. Say it, I have set up a restriction here, Hulaina said. Mother, I said, you must not tell others. Huluosian said. Don't worry. Seeing the two nodding together, Huluosian told them what had just happened. No, the godly cunning immortal I saw was a woman. Is there a veil on her face? Yes. She is also there, but she is just a servant of the young master. She must be borrowing the name of the young master. When Huluwadi heard it, he breathed a long sigh of relief. The shocked expression could not be calmed for a long time. Plop! The two of them knelt on the ground and saluted in the direction of Sun Hao's disappearance. The young master's great kindness, my heavenly fox clan will never forget. P.S. Those who can see here are basically true fans. Now the Dragon God has created a small group, 9477828868. At present, I am the only one. I don't know how many little friends will join it. Looking forward to it. However, the Dragon God had no time to take care of the group. He just gave everyone a place to chat. Chapter 305. Kang Boundary. An old man with ragged clothes and a miserable appearance limped forward while hugging his buttocks from time to time. This person was Ujizi. Ouch! With every step, he let out a blood-curdling scream. Damn it, damn it! This trip to Demon Ancestral Mountain is a huge loss. 2 Earth Escape talismans and a horsetail whisk, gone just like that. Ujizi clenched his teeth, his heart bleeding. What should I do? Am I going to be trapped here forever? Ujizi frowned, deep in thought. After some thought, Ujizi took out a talisman. There's no other way, only this world-breaking talisman can leave this place. This time, it's really a huge loss. Ujizi muttered to himself, instantly igniting the world-breaking talisman. A ripple appeared in front of him. Without thinking, he dived into it and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already somewhere in Two Mountain. My God, they're all immortals. Ancestor, just what in the world happened? Run, we can't come back to this place ever again. Without thinking, Ujizi took out another Earth Escape talisman. Without hesitation, he ignited it. I'll go to the Golden Crow tribe, okay? Picking up a few Golden Crow feathers is not bad either. Ujizi dived into the ripple and disappeared. Demon Ancestral Mountain, Phoenix City, Palace Hall. A middle-aged woman with an extraordinary temperament sat in the main seat. Her gaze swept across, carrying the aura of an emperor, making others not dare to look directly at her. This person was the current demon emperor, Huang Yuli. In front of her stood 2 rows of men in embroidered clothes. Every one of them had a surging aura and extraordinary might. Greetings, Your Majesty. The group of men in embroidered clothes knelt down and kowtowed. Rise. Huang Yuli said lightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone rose. If there's anything, report it. If there's nothing, dismiss. Huang Yuli said. Your Majesty. At this moment, the middle-aged man at the front stood out. He was Huang Yuli's husband, Xiang Tinji. At the same time, he was King Blazing, the leader of the Divine Elephant Tribe. Xiang Tinji glanced around, and the ministers behind him nodded. Blazing King, what do you have to report? Huang Yuli asked. Xiang Tinji did not answer. Instead, he took a step forward and placed his hands on his crown. Instantly, Pu Xia, the sound of swords stabbing into flesh rang out. In the main hall, one by one, the golden-armored guards fell to the ground. Bang! He crashed into the ground and his body exploded into dust. Even in death, he did not let out a scream. Swish, hundreds of figures appeared out of thin air, instantly surrounding Huang Yuli so tightly that not even a drop of water could escape. Seeing this scene, Huang Yuli's expression did not change at all. She calmly sat where she was, motionless. His expression was like that of a king who controlled everything. Ha ha! Xiang Tinji threw his head back and laughed heartily, extremely pleased with himself. Huang Yuli, you never thought that you would have such a day, right? Now, do you have any last words? Xiang Tinji looked at Huang Yuli and said. Huang Yuli's expression did not change as the corner of her lips curled upwards. With just these few people, you wouldn't dare to be so impudent. What's the point of hiding? Huang Yuli asked. Just as he finished speaking. Pa, a burst of applause sounded. 5 masked men in green robes walked out from the 4 corners. Each of them exuded an immortal-level aura. Since you've already made your move, why hide your head and show your tail? It's better to take off your mask. Huang Yuli said. Demon Phoenix, when it's time to take it off, I will definitely take it off. The leader walked forward, that black ghost mask, smiling very coldly. Speak, you guys colluded, what's your purpose? Huang Yuli said. Ha, refreshing. The green-robed leader applauded again. I like the Demon Emperor's character. Since your funeral has been arranged, then abdicate yourself. The green-robed leader said. What funeral? Xiang Tinji stood out, his face full of doubts. You don't know? The green-robed leader pretended to be surprised. It seems that you're a really incompetent husband. Xiang Tinji smiled awkwardly. Lord, don't talk in riddles, just say it directly. That's good. The green-robed leader nodded. The Demon Emperor already knew that there would be such a day. She first sent the first princess to the Tianluo continent in the name of investigating the Blood Phoenix nest. Then, she secretly sent her clansmen to the Punglai continent. Not long ago, she dismissed the 4 great generals and let them leave on the grounds of various tasks. Doing so is tantamount to preparing to sacrifice herself. This kind of breadth of mind is really great. Hearing this, Xiang Tinji showed a look of realization. Huang Yuli, I didn't expect that your scheming was so deep. Since you knew that there would be such a day, why didn't you resist? Presumably, with your means and scheming, killing us should not be a problem. Xiang Tinji was puzzled. Haha, my good state minister, it seems that you still don't know anything about Madame. The Demon Emperor is kind-hearted and completely focuses on the overall situation. Once she captures you and executes you on the spot, wouldn't the entire demon race be in chaos? At that time, the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. The green-robed leader's words made Xiang Tinji suddenly understand. However, Demon Emperor, what you don't know is that the first princess is already dead. Your clansmen have all fallen into my hands at this moment. They will be sent here soon. Even if it's your 4 generals, I'm afraid they're all dead now. The green-robed leader said with a smile, that expression, as if everything was in control. Hearing this, a hint of heartache flashed across Huang Yuli's face. Good, very good. Since that's the case, this emperor wants to see, how will you deal with me? Huang Yuli released her aura, surging immortal power rolling out. A terrifying pressure engulfed the entire hall. Bang! Those with low strength directly flew out, smashing into the ground. Even the green-robed leader, his body staggered back, using a lot of strength to stabilize his body. Xiang Tinji roared with strength, covering his body with a shield. He looked at Huang Yuli, his face full of fear. Damn it, hiding so deeply, luckily I was prepared enough, otherwise I would have really hit an iron plate. Come on! Huang Yuli roared angrily, preparing to rush forward. Wait! The green-robed leader lightly shouted. Huang Yuli stopped what she was doing. Demon Emperor, this is your Phoenix City, there are hundreds of millions of people here. If we fight here, I think the entire Phoenix City will be destroyed. The foundation that the Phoenix Ancestor built, you don't want it to be destroyed in your hands, do you? Although the first princess is already dead, your clansmen are not. Even if you win, then your clansmen will definitely be buried with us. Also, hundreds of millions of living beings will also be buried with us. Listening to the green-robed leader's words, Huang Yuli's expression changed. Chapter 306. Huang Yuli looked at the green-robed leader with an ugly expression. Finally, she withdrew her aura unwillingly and said through clenched teeth, Despicable! Of course not. Demon Emperor, you're wrong. In this world, the victor is king. No matter what means you use, as long as you obtain victory in the end, it doesn't matter if it's despicable or just. I believe you also know that the existence behind me is not someone you can provoke. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made these preparations, right? The green-robed leader said. You. Huang Yuli's chest tightened and she was speechless. What do you want me to do for you to let my clansmen go? Very simple. First, hand over the throne. Second, let us seal the immortal force within your body. You cannot resist. The green-robed leader said. Huang Yuli opened her mouth and mumbled for a long time, but did not say a single word. All right. After some thought, Huang Yuli nodded her head in agreement. He waved his right hand. The demonic ancestral mountain's jade seal flew out from her hand and slowly flew to the front of the green-robed leader. Phew! The jade seal gave off a dazzling 5-colored light. This is the real demonic seal. It is said that this demon seal is a medium-grade celestial artifact. Furthermore, it's the key to the demon ancestral realm. Xiang Tinji's eyes lit up, his body trembling with excitement. He held the jade seal, and for a moment, he did not come back to his senses. He looked at Huang Yuli and asked, Huang Yuli, where is the demon ancestral realm? Huang Yuli laughed coldly. If I knew, wouldn't I have gone myself? Xiang Tinji nodded slightly and sighed inwardly. It seemed like he could only search for the demon ancestral realm himself. No matter what, he would at least be able to obtain a middle-grade immortal artifact. Xiang Tinji, do you still remember our agreement? The green-robed leader asked. Sir, don't worry, I will always remember. Xiang Tinji put away the jade seal and said. All right. The green-robed leader looked at Huang Yuli and said, Demon Monarch, do not resist. Do you understand? N. Huang Yuli nodded and closed her eyes, quietly waiting for them to make their move. Go. The 5 green-robed men attacked together. 5 beams of green light shot out from their palms. These beams of light intertwined to form 5 iron chains that rapidly shot towards Huang Yuli. Pu Xia in an instant it pierced into Huang Yuli's body. Huang Yuli shrieked miserably as her strength was gradually sealed. She did not resist, nor did she struggle. 2 streams of tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. Meng I'm sorry. It's your mother's fault. Huang Yuli murmured to herself, her eyes filled with despair. As expected, Huang Yuli's entire body was imprisoned. Ha! The green-robed leader raised his head to the sky and laughed maniacally. Words couldn't describe how pleased he was with himself. He slowly held the mask in his hand. Just as he was about to remove the mask, his body trembled. Not good. After he finished speaking, the 5 green-robed men slowly disappeared without a trace. In the main hall, apart from the ministers on the ground, they were Huang Yuli and Xiang Tinji. What happened? Xiang Tinji looked around in confusion. Just as these words rang out, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The newcomer's entire body was fiery red, and the clump of hair on his head was like a raging flame, soaring upwards. Just by standing there, his aura seemed to be able to melt the earth, making people feel very uncomfortable. On his body, ruthless, bloodthirsty, cold, all kinds of negative aura swept in all directions, and in an instant enveloped everyone. This fiery red figure was Lai Shang. This, Xiang Tinji and the others couldn't help but tremble. Hee. Lai Shang looked around and smiled slightly. This smile made everyone's hair stand up, and their whole body trembled violently. I didn't expect that you guys would actually fight among yourselves, a little interesting. This seat came, and you guys want to leave, how can there be such a good thing? Lai Shang's face revealed a cold smile. He stretched out his right hand and pressed forward. Buzz, the space shook up layers of ripples. 5 figures were forcefully pulled out by him. These 5 people were the 5 green-robed men who had just escaped. My lord, the 5 people collapsed to the ground, kneeling in front of Lai Shang, their faces full of fear. Don't be afraid, this seat won't kill you, Lai Shang said. Thank you, my lord. The 5 people kept kowtowing and saluting. You guys did me a favor, take all the Divine Phoenix clansmen to Golden Crow City. Lai Shang said. My lord, the Lord wants us. The green-robed leader wanted to speak but hesitated. Your lord, this seat will go to him, you can rest assured. Lai Shang said. Thank you, my lord. We will immediately give the order. The green-robed leader said. Hee. Lai Shang smiled coldly and blocked the way of several people. Don't worry, this seat still has something to say. Lai Shang walked straight to Huang Yuli and said with a smile, Demon Emperor, do you know why this seat is looking for you? If you want to kill, then kill, don't talk too much. Huang Yuli snorted coldly. Have a little backbone, that's interesting. If you don't want to know, this seat will tell you. If you want to blame someone, blame Huang Rumring, it's that bitch who killed my father. I want her to taste the pain of losing her family. This seat will torture you to death one by one in front of her. At this point, Lai Shang looked up to the sky and laughed, as if he was crazy. It took him a long time to calm down. Looking up, he saw Huang Yuli's eyes flickering. Great, Menger, you're actually okay. Ha! Huang Yuli laughed. This, Lai Shang was taken aback and his anger surged. Damn it! Lai Shang raised his palm and was about to slap over, but his figure couldn't help but stagnate. On his face, there was a look of incomparable fear. The godly cunning immortal is here. Damn it! Must escape first. On Lai Shang's forehead, fine beads of sweat overflowed. With a wave of his right hand, he grabbed an old man from the void. Spare me, spare me! The old man knelt in front of Lai Shang. His breath was like a gossamer, and only these two words came out of his mouth. Seeing this person, everyone looked startled. Golden Crow, old ancestor? Everyone looked startled, their faces full of surprise. The Golden Crow, old ancestor, was actually tortured to such an appearance. The aura on his body had fallen to the ascendant realm. It's not impossible for me to spare you, Lai Shang said. My lord, please say it, I will do it all. The Golden Crow, old ancestor, kept kowtowing. It's very simple. Next, you will be this demon emperor. No matter what method you use, you must get Huang Ruming to Golden Crow City. As for the man next to her, you must not get him, otherwise you will definitely die. Lai Shang said. My lord, I can promise, but my appearance and, before the words fell. Lai Shang waved his right hand, and a flame power enveloped the Golden Crow, old ancestor in an instant. The strength on his body recovered rapidly. In addition, his appearance was also changing rapidly. In less than a moment, he looked exactly like Huang Yuli. Such a scene made everyone dumbfounded. They looked at Lai Shang with awe. You ministers, fully cooperate, do you understand? Lai Shang's voice was cold. My lord, rest assured, we understand. Xiang Tinji and the others knelt down and promised in unison. Okay, the 5 of you, accompany me to Golden Crow City first. Lai Shang waved his right hand and disappeared with the 5 green-robed men. Huang Yuli also disappeared with them. P.S. The small group created by the Dragon God yesterday, 9477828868, currently there are 27 little friends, looking forward to your joining. Please come to QQ to read, support the original. Chapter 307. Phoenix City in a Tea House. Recently, my eyebrows have been twitching non-stop. Did something happen? You still don't know? There have been several major events in Demon Ancestor Mountain recently. A mustache man stood up and said, What major events? The first one, within 100 miles of Tu City, turned into ruins overnight, and all the people inside turned into statues. My friend who went to buy the pills was scared half to death, and quickly escaped from Tu City. The mustached man said. The mustache man said. The faces of the people at the table were full of fear. What? Still this kind of thing, what happened? Who knows? Recently, the entire Demon Ancestor Mountain is very turbulent, it's best to go out less. The mustache man lowered his voice and said mysteriously. Why do you say that? Because the second major event is very terrible. Do you know, Beiluo City was almost swallowed by the space turbulence. If it weren't for young Master Sun Hao, I'm afraid Beiluo City would also follow the footsteps of Tu City. The mustache man said. Young Master Sun Hao? Who is he? It's normal that you haven't heard of it that day. The mustache man said word by word, making everyone's heart jump, as if they were on the spot. When the mustache man finished, the people at the table took a breath of cold air, and it took a long time to calm down. In this world there is such a person? Too powerful. There is a powerful person behind the space turbulence? No way? Such a person, if there is a chance, I must see him. Shock was written all over the faces of several people. Soon after, several people calmed down, and their eyes were fixed on the mustache man. Is there anything else? Yes, of course. The mustache man nodded and said in a low voice, In addition to the north, a major event also happened in the south. Let me tell you, Jinwu City, strange things happened one after another. The mustache man said. What strange things? The people living in Jinwu City act very strangely, and they don't speak like walking corpses. Moreover, there is no power in those people. It seems that all their power has been swallowed. Don't talk about this, because the people who came back from Jinwu City all died inexplicably. The Dark Hand presumably doesn't want people to know. Hearing this, several people trembled with fear, and their faces were full of fear. Not far from them, Sun Hao and Huang Rumeng sat there, drinking tea by themselves. Not a single word of these words escaped his ears. After asking around for half a day, there was nothing useful. Why don't we go directly to the palace? Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumeng nodded. The two of them stood up and prepared to take action. Clang, the sound of armor clashing against each other drew closer. In the blink of an eye, a team of Jinjiawi instantly surrounded the tea house. Through the window, he looked at the team of Jinjiawi. Everyone's expression changed slightly. These are the Demon Emperor's Imperial Guards. Why are they here? I'm not too sure, but from the looks of it, it doesn't seem like they're here to capture anyone. Wow, so cool. I didn't expect that even the commander of the Imperial Army, Xiang Taijun, would come personally. Is there a big shot in our tea house? Cries of surprise rang out continuously. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the leader who was walking at the very front. The commander was tall and sturdy, and his temperament was extraordinary. He exuded a domineering aura. This person was the commander of the Imperial Army, Xiang Taijun. Xiang Taijun quickly went upstairs with a dozen Jinjiawi without any pause and went straight to Sun Hao, no, Huang Rumeng. Standing in front of Huang Rumeng, he knelt down directly. Eldest princess, please forgive me for being late. From beginning to end, he didn't look at Sun Hao. In other words, in his eyes, Sun Hao was not enough to be feared. A trace of surprise flashed in Huang Rumeng's eyes, and she slowly took off the veil on her face, revealing her true appearance. Under the golden hair, the two pointed ears instantly attracted everyone's attention. With the big sapphire eyes, it was so perfect that it was suffocating. For a moment, everyone was stunned in place. It's really the princess. So beautiful, the beauty of the princess can't be described as the beauty of the princess. Everyone was dumbfounded in place, motionless. After a while, greetings to the princess. Everyone knelt down and kowtowed in salute. Rise. Huang Rumeng said. Thank you, princess. Everyone got up and stood in place with their heads bowed, not daring to look directly. Princess. Xiang Taijun came forward. Demon Phoenix asks you to return to the palace immediately. Okay. Huang Rumeng nodded and stood up. Sun Hao also stood up and followed closely behind. Stop. Xiang Taijun stopped Sun Hao. Who are you? Why do you follow the princess? Presumptuous. Huang Rumeng shouted softly, and Xiang Taijun hurriedly bowed his head. This is my benefactor, don't be presumptuous. Huang Rumeng said. Princess, the Demon Emperor has ordered that the human race is not allowed to enter the palace, otherwise this lowly one's life will not be guaranteed. Xiang Taijun said. There is no basis for words. Do you have an order? Huang Rumeng said. After seeing Xiang Taijun take out a token, Huang Rumeng frowned and thought for a while, unable to choose. Sun Hao saw this scene and walked forward. Rumeng, why don't I wait for you here, and you go to the palace? Okay, young master. Huang Rumeng stepped forward, took out a universe ring, and handed it to Sun Hao. Young master, your things are all in this. Rumeng, just take it. Sun Hao said. Young master, you should take it. You can sell wine here, so you won't be bored. Huang Rumeng said. Hearing this, Sun Hao nodded. Rumeng was really considerate. Just in time to take this opportunity to collect full blessing points. Okay, how do I use this? Sun Hao asked. Young master, you first carry out the soul fusion recognition. Huang Rumeng said. Soul fusion recognition? How do I do it? Release your thoughts on the universe ring. Okay. Sun Hao nodded and his thoughts moved. In an instant there was a connection with the universe ring. Everything in the universe ring clearly poured into his mind. The universe ring was big enough to accommodate a small city. The things piled inside were usually handed over to Rumring for safekeeping. Zither, chess, calligraphy, brush, ink, paper, inkstone, all in it. How do I take it out? Sun Hao asked. Young master, you only need to use your thoughts to take it. Huang Ruming said. Okay. Sun Hao's thoughts were released on an immortal crystal. An immortal crystal appeared in his hand in an instant. Then, his thoughts moved again. Sun Hao was surprised to find that the immortal crystal returned to the universe ring. It was simply too fun. Young master, I'm leaving, Huang Ruming said. Okay, take care. Sun Hao nodded and smiled. Huang Ruming held back her tears. After taking a few steps forward, she turned around and quickly rushed to Sun Hao, throwing herself into his arms. Then, she raised her head and kissed Sun Hao on the mouth. At this moment, time seemed to stand still. Everyone around was stunned in place. That kind of shock, that kind of envy, that kind of jealousy was written all over her face. Xiang Taijun looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. A touch of cold, killing intent flashed away. He retreated to the side and waited quietly. Young master, you have to take care. Huang Ruming's face was full of tears. Rumring, it's not like I'm gone. When you're done, you can come to me. Sun Hao wiped the tears from the corner of Huang Ruming's eyes and said, N. Huang Ruming nodded heavily and walked forward quickly. Xiang Taijun followed closely, and before leaving, he looked deeply at Sun Hao. Sun Hao looked at Xiang Taijun and frowned slightly. Then, he looked at Huang Ruming's back with a complicated expression. Rumring, I can't cultivate now and can't help you. However, I believe you can solve everything. Because you are the godly cunning immortal. Chapter 308. Wow, everyone looked at Sun Hao, and their envious and jealous eyes kept sweeping over. That kind of sour jealousy enveloped all directions. It's really a flower inserted in cow dung. The princess actually likes humans. You can't say that. Look at that young master, he is quite handsome, and his temperament is extraordinary. Can being handsome be eaten? There is no power fluctuation in his body. He is just a mortal, how can he be worthy of the princess? That's right, he didn't even open the soul space, and he still has to wear a universe ring, it's really funny. This is not what we can manage, and I think the demon emperor will not agree to this marriage. The sound of discussion continued. There were such words, extremely intense. There were even many people who came forward and wanted to compete with Sun Hao. However, Sun Hao was unmoved. Big Wolf, let's go and find a place to sell wine. Sun Hao walked out with Blood Wolf in his arms. Humph, unless you compete with me, otherwise, don't think about leaving here today. That's right, unless you have a fair duel with me. Several strong men surrounded Sun Hao, and they had no intention of letting him leave. Big Wolf could kill these ants with a casual spit of its saliva. But because this was Phoenix City, killing people at will would leave a bad impression on the Demon Emperor. It was better to be low-key. Shopkeeper, don't you have a security guarantee here? Sun Hao roared, and the shopkeeper immediately ran upstairs. What are you doing? Behaving atrociously in my tea house? Don't you want to live? The shopkeeper scolded, and several strong men lowered their heads and got out of the way. Young master, I'm really sorry, please. Under the leadership of the shopkeeper, Sun Hao walked out of the tea house smoothly. Shopkeeper, thank you, these 3 bottles of wine are for you. After speaking, Sun Hao took 3 jade bottles and handed them to the shopkeeper. Thank you, young master. The shopkeeper picked up the jade bottle and threw it directly into the soul space without looking at it. Walking on the main street, looking at the bustling crowd, Sun Hao's eyes shone. He found a place at random, set up tables and chairs, and set up a sign which read, Selling Immortal Wine. Next to it there was a small line of words. 10 immortal crystals per bottle, no bargaining, only Ascendant Realm and above to buy, each person is limited to buy 3 bottles. The table was full of immortal wine. Woo! Blood Wolf lay on the ground, closing his eyes to rest. It looked like a snoozing puppy. If it weren't for Blood Wolf, he wouldn't have dared to sell immortal wine like this. After doing this, Sun Hao closed his eyes and waited quietly. However, there were many onlookers, but there was not a single buyer. What? A bottle of immortal wine costs 10 immortal crystals? Why don't you just rob a bank? Dark, really dark. 10 immortal crystals is enough for me to buy and drink immortal wine for a lifetime. What's wrong with this world? There are more and more black-hearted merchants. There's nothing to see. Let's go. A batch came and a batch left. Anyway, there was no shortage of onlookers in front of Sun Hao. Hearing this, Sun Hao shook his head slightly. If you don't know what's good for you now, you'll be crying later. He opened his eyes, stood up, and waved his brush. The price on the sign immediately changed from 10 yuan to 100 yuan. What? Immediately raised the price by 10 times. This guy is funny. No one wants to buy it for 10 celestial crystals. If someone wants to buy it for 100 celestial crystals, I will chop off my head and let him sit on it. If he sells a bottle today, I will die immediately. All kinds of ridicule kept ringing. Sun Hao was unmoved and quietly waited for the fated person. A moment later. It's him. A voice sounded. Sun Hao opened his eyes and looked at the dozens of strong men in front of him. He couldn't help but frown slightly. The man in the lead was a teenager. He was dressed in a brocade robe and looked a bit temperamental. At first glance, he was the young master of a big aristocratic family. At least he was a little bit related to the royal family. In this Phoenix City, he must have some power. Young master, it's him. It's him who kissed the princess. As soon as these words came out, it was like a stone stirring up 1,000 ripples. The whole scene exploded in an instant. What? This kind of silver thief can't be allowed to live in this world. The princess is the goddess in our hearts. He dared to kiss her, courting death. It's over, my princess was defiled like this, I want to die. At this moment, Sun Hao was condemned by thousands of people. Everyone pointed at Sun Hao and scolded him. Sun Hao looked at this scene, and his face changed slightly. Big Wolf, wake up. Sun Hao looked at Blood Wolf and kept shouting. Blood Wolf turned over. Master, I'm here to deal with a group of ants, you don't have to worry. What, you can talk? Sun Hao was surprised. Master, I'm not talking, it's a telepathic voice transmission. I only need to think about it, Blood Wolf said. Sun Hao also tried to say, it's true. By the way, you don't have to make a move later, just lend me your strength. Sun Hao said. Yes, Master. After speaking, Blood Wolf fell asleep again. Master is really funny, you don't need to borrow my strength. After murmuring, Blood Wolf fell asleep and no longer paid attention. Sun Hao sat on the chair, closed his eyes and looked calm. On him, the young man in brocade waved his right hand. There was an instant silence around. He came forward. Did you really kiss the princess? Sun Hao narrowed his eyes and said faintly, You're wrong, it was the princess who kissed me. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air was stagnant. The anger seemed to ignite the air, and the whole atmosphere heated up violently. The corner of the young man's mouth twitched slightly, and he took 2 steps back. He waved his hand. Damn it, go to hell for me! Dare to insult the princess like this, die! A group of strong men rushed towards Sun Hao in a hurry. The wind blew everywhere, and the air waves were like the edge. The terrifying power made people's scalp numb. Seeing that, these people were about to hit Sun Hao. At this time, Sun Hao opened his eyes. Buzz, there was a roar. More than a dozen strong men who rushed over, their bodies were fixed in mid-air, unable to move. They opened their mouths wide and muttered to themselves. Panic was written all over their faces. Their voices, as if blocked, did not come out at all. Boom! Boom! These dozen-strong men's bodies all exploded and exploded into powder. After the wind blew, nothing was left. Those who stood in place. Only the young man in brocade clothes. At this moment there was a dead silence all around. Everyone's expression was surprised and similar. That kind of stupidity and disbelief were written all over their faces. A moment later, hiss, the sound of inhaling cold air came one after another. Everyone took a few deep breaths and calmed down. Looking at Sun Hao's eyes, they were full of awe. Fuck, they're all dead? Who did it? I didn't see him do anything and he died. What's going on? Incredible! That young master must not be a mortal at all, but a top master. Bao Xin is embarrassed now, and he kicked an iron plate. How can a person who can be liked by the first princess be a mortal? You can think of it with your toes. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the young man in brocade clothes with a playful look. The young man in brocade clothes trembled slightly, standing in place, not knowing whether to advance or retreat. He took the lead and beat the few with many. It was unreasonable in terms of emotion, reason, and law. What should I do? The young man in brocade clothes stood in place, extremely embarrassed. Once he retreated, it would be a hard slap in the face. In the future, it would be difficult to get along in the Bao family. If he rushed forward, he was afraid that it would be a dead end. After some thought, the young man in brocade clothes looked at Sun Hao unwillingly. You wait for me. Leaving this harsh sentence, he left quickly. Did I let you go? At this moment a sound rang out. The young man in brocade clothes just took 2 steps, and his body was fixed in place. Chapter 309. The youth in brocade turned around and looked at Sun Hao, his body trembling. He was horrified to find that his whole body's power was imprisoned and could not be used. What the hell is going on? Who was the one who sealed his own power? Could it be him? Impossible. He didn't even make a move. What do you want to do? The youth in brocade's voice trembled. Come and go as you please? You want to kill me, and you still ask me what I want to do? Aren't you kidding me? Sun Hao's voice gradually became cold. If he didn't kill the chicken to warn the monkey, wouldn't there be constant trouble? The youth in brocade's expression stagnated. You want to kill me? Do you know who I am? Sun Hao smiled coldly. Immediately, the youth in brocade was horrified to find that there was an irresistible destructive force in his body. No! A shout just sounded and stopped abruptly. The body of the youth in brocade burst apart and dissipated without a trace like smoke. Such a scene strongly stimulated the eyes of others. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, their faces full of astonishment. Dead? How did he die? He is a direct descendant of the Berserk leopard clan, and his strength is extraordinary. The person that the first princess likes is really not simple. I didn't even see how he did it. Exclamations kept ringing. Everyone looked at Sun Hao, their eyes full of awe. Sun Hao turned a deaf ear to these voices. He stood up, looked at the onlookers, and smiled slightly. Everyone, I'm new here. You may not know my immortal wine yet. Here, a free tasting event is held. Anyone who has 300 immortal crystals can drink a bottle for free. If you are satisfied, you can pay again. How about it? Sun Hao's voice was not loud, but it was extremely tempting. 300 immortal crystals, for ordinary monster cultivators, was an astronomical number. However, this was Phoenix City, and there were really many rich people. Young master, are you really satisfied before you pay? A rough man took the lead to step forward. Sun Hao smiled slightly, nodded and said, Of course, after drinking, if you are not satisfied at all, you can leave immediately. I will never embarrass you. Okay, young master. The rough man's eyes lit up, and without thinking, he took out 300 immortal crystals and handed them to Sun Hao to check. Okay. Sun Hao picked up a bottle of immortal water and handed it to the rough man. The burly man opened the jade bottle with a curious look on his face. Instantly, his eyes turned cross-eyed as he stared at the jade bottle, unable to react for a long time. His voice was trembling, and his whole body was trembling with excitement. Why aren't you drinking? Sun Hao's voice awakened the rough man. Young master, I will drink it immediately. He trembled as he held the jade bottle and drank it in one gulp. After he finished drinking, he stuck out his long tongue and licked the bottle clean, not leaving a single drop behind. He closed his eyes and quietly felt the surging power in his body. Gotcha! The sound of beans exploding rang out. The rugged man's cultivation base was rapidly rising. 5th step ascension, 6th step ascension, 1 step half immortal, 2 step half immortal. It only stopped when it reached the 8th step of the half immortal stage. He stood where he was, trembling with excitement. For a moment, he couldn't come back to his senses. The onlookers were also rooted to the spot, shock written all over their faces. My ancestor, he actually advanced from the 4th step of the ascendant realm to the 8th step of the half-immortal. Is there something wrong with my eyes? A bottle of immortal wine has such an effect? This is a dream. I regret it so much. Why didn't I buy it with 10 immortal crystals just now? Now I can't afford it even if I want to. Exclamations kept ringing out. The onlookers quickly swarmed over, and in an instant, the rough man was squeezed out of the crowd. Young master, I'll buy 100 bottles. Young master, I'll buy 1,000 bottles. Young master, I'll buy as much as you have. One by one, they all presented the immortal crystal bags, extremely respectful. When Sun Hao saw this scene, a bunch of black lines appeared on his forehead. All of you disperse for me. This sound was not loud, but it made everyone's scalp numb, and they quickly retreated. Those who want to buy immortal wine, line up for me. Pay attention, each person is limited to 3 bottles. And that person, are you satisfied with it? If you are not satisfied, you can leave immediately. These words jolted the rugged man back to his senses. He stepped forward and nodded repeatedly. Young master, I'm so satisfied. This is 400 immortal crystals, in addition to what I just drank. I want to buy 3 bottles. The rough man said excitedly. 3 bottles at most, can't you read? Sun Hao pointed to the sign and said, Young master, I'm sorry. The strong man took back the 100 immortal crystals, bought 2 bottles of immortal wine, and strode away. On his face, there was uncontrollable surprise written. The people in line were all excited when they saw this scene. The immortal wine sold by the young master is not simple. I know, he must be young master Sun Hao. What? He is the young master Sun Hao who saved Beiluo City. No wonder. What saved Beiluo City? What are you all talking about? You still don't know? Beiluo City suffered a great danger and was almost swallowed by the spatial turbulence. As a result, young Master Sun Hao just stared at it, and the spatial turbulence retreated. So terrifying! Hiss, the sound of gasping kept ringing. Everyone looked at Sun Hao's eyes with a bit of awe and admiration. I don't know if young Master Sun Hao has a Tao companion? He is so handsome, so strong, and the immortal wine he sells is so good. This is really a perfect Tao companion. I like it so much. No, my heart belongs to young Master Sun Hao. In this life, except for young Master Sun Hao, I will not find a Tao companion. Don't think about it. Young Master Sun Hao has a Tao companion for a long time. She is our eldest princess. Hearing these voices, Sun Hao's face did not change, but he was ashamed in his heart. Because of the existence of the communication talisman, in less than 10 days, the news of him in Beiluo City was spread here. He was just a mortal, and he didn't have that ability. At that time, he was scared half to death. It must be Rumeng who stared back those black hair. Young master, are you really young Master Sun Hao? A female demon cultivator came forward, her 2 rabbit ears trembling slightly, her face excited. And Seeing Sun Hao nodding, everyone's face showed a bright light. He is really young Master Sun Hao. Such a strong person really came here. I can see him, and by immortal wine, it is really a great fortune. So excited. My heart can't stand to see such a peerless person, it seems to stop beating. The sound of explosions kept ringing. The rabbit-eared female demon cultivator looked at Sun Hao with a fiery face. Young master, do you have a Dao companion? After saying this, the rabbit-eared female demon cultivator lowered her head, her face blushing. Dao companion? He didn't even have the blessing point now. If he couldn't cultivate, how could he find a Dao companion? Even if he wanted to find one, naturally it would be Ru Meng first. We only sell immortal wine here, don't talk about other things, Sun Hao said. And the rabbit-eared female demon cultivator nodded. Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. Okay. The money and goods were settled, and the rabbit-eared female demon cultivator took out a communication jade slip and threw it on Sun Hao's table. Young master, this is my communication jade slip. After speaking, the rabbit-eared female demon cultivator quickly left. When Sun Hao reacted, there was no trace of her. This, Sun Hao looked at the communication jade slip and shook his head secretly. Too famous, this is really. Sun Hao secretly thought. Fortunately, the female demon cultivators here were not so fanatical, and their quality was very high. Otherwise, if he was pressed to the ground by them, the consequences would be unimaginable. Sun Hao weighed the jade slip and finally put it in the universe ring. Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. A female cultivator's voice awakened Sun Hao. Okay. Ding, blessing point +3. Hearing the prompt sound, Sun Hao was in a good mood. Young master, this is my communication jade slip. After speaking, the female demon cultivator also left quickly. This, Sun Hao was dumbfounded. If he received that kind of communication jade slip on him, wouldn't he be killed by the vibration? No, he must not accept it anymore. It would be bad if Rumeng was jealous. Thinking like this, Sun Hao stood up. Everyone, please don't send any more communication jade slips, otherwise I won't sell immortal wine. With this sound, many female demon cultivators lowered their heads, their faces full of pity. Ding, blessing point +3. Such prompts kept ringing. Sun Hao looked at the blessing point panel, his eyes shining. If this goes on, it won't be long before I can collect 300,000 blessing points. I don't know what will happen after the blessing point reaches 300,000. Sun Hao's eyes showed a look of expectation. P.S. Group 9477828868, looking forward to you joining. Chapter 310. Phoenix City, Imperial Palace Hall. Eldest Princess, please. Xiang Taijun made an inviting gesture. Yes. Huang Rumeng nodded slightly and walked into the hall without any hesitation. The ministers stood on both sides, each person's aura surging, pressing down on Huang Rumeng together. However, Huang Rumeng's expression did not change as she indifferently walked inside. He stood in front of Huang Yuli. No, it would be more accurate to call him the Golden Crow Ancestor. How dare you kneel before the Demon Emperor? Xiang Tinji pointed at Huang Rumeng and shouted. Are you talking to me? Huang Rumeng slowly turned her head and looked at Xiang Tinji, staring at him until his expression changed slightly. What a sharp gaze. Since when did this girl develop such a temperament? I was actually scared by her. That's impossible. Xiang Tinji took a few deep breaths and calmed down. How dare you? This old man is a dignified state minister. Aren't you afraid that the Demon Emperor will punish you for being disrespectful by speaking like this? Xiang Tinji said. Hee. Huang Rumeng smiled coldly, waved her right hand, and instantly slapped out. Phew! Xiang Tinji's body flew out uncontrollably, crashing heavily onto the ground. He kept struggling, but was unable to stand up. Pooh! He spat out a mouthful of blood. He was heavily injured in one blow. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. They stared blankly at Huang Rumeng, full of disbelief. A dignified, profound immortal didn't even have the chance to struggle in front of Huang Rumeng. The problem was that no one could see how Huang Rumeng made her move. Moreover, she only heavily injured the state minister. Not even the slightest bit of damage was done to the ground. This kind of power control was truly terrifying. What realm had she reached? How terrifying! For a moment, everyone was stunned on the spot and did not move. Xiaoming, it's great that you're back. The voice of the Golden Crow Ancestor broke the silence on the throne. Hee. Huang Rumeng smiled coldly and walked towards Golden Crow Ancestor step by step. Old Ancestor Golden Crow looked at Huang Rumeng and his heart trembled, but his expression did not dare to change at all. Quickly come over, let Mother take a look. You have truly suffered. Golden Crow Old Ancestor said. Mother? Qi Bing, is the throne something you can sit on? Huang Rumeng's voice was cold. Ancestor Golden Crow's body trembled, and he immediately revealed his true form. Before he could react, his body flew out uncontrollably and landed heavily on the ground. Bang! His bones were broken, and his entire body was riddled with scars. Fresh blood flowed from the wound, drenching his body. Thud thud, Huang Rumeng walked toward Golden Crow Ancestor step by step. Every step was like stepping on the Golden Crow Ancestor's chest, causing his body to tremble. What do you want? The Golden Crow Patriarch's expression changed drastically and was extremely ugly. If you come any closer, I'm going to attack. After saying that, Golden Crow Ancestor waved his right hand. Buzz, a jade seal floated out from his hand. The jade seal exuded a power that could tear everything apart as it pounced towards Huang Rumeng. The palace's formation shook violently, as if it would shatter at any moment. The terrifying might caused everyone's scalps to go numb. Huang Rumeng stood in place and stretched out her hand unhurriedly. Phew! The power of the jade seal had completely dissipated. The entire scene instantly quietened down. The demon seal is actually in your hands? Huang Rumeng held the demon seal, revealing a touch of anger. I'll give you a chance. Tell me, where is my mother? The Golden Crow Patriarch's body trembled. Without thinking about it, he knelt in front of Huang Rumeng. Eldest Princess, spare my life. Your mother is in Golden Crow City. You must not go there, otherwise your life will be in danger. If you want to go, it's best to bring God. The words were not finished. Dare to betray this seat, die. A booming sound shook the entire palace, causing it to buzz and tremble. Immediately afterward, phew, a stream of light flew from the void. In an instant, it entered the brow of the Golden Crow Patriarch. No, boom! Two sounds rang out at the same time. The Golden Crow Patriarch's body directly exploded into powder and disappeared on the spot. Phew! In the middle of the palace, a blood-colored phantom condensed and formed. He was Lai Shang. Lai Shang floated in the air, smiling at Huang Rumeng. Hee, you really want to know why this seat wants to kidnap your mother, right? Are you very confused about everything? Lai Shang said. Looking at Lai Shang, Huang Rumeng's face was full of doubts. I have no grievances with you. Why did you kidnap my mother? Huang Rumeng's expression was calm, but her heart was surging with killing intent. It's very simple. You come to Golden Crow City. I will tell you in detail. Hee. The cold laughter made people have goosebumps all over. By the way, you can't bring the godly cunning immortal, otherwise you will never see your mother again. After saying this, Lai Shang's figure slowly disappeared. Huang Rumeng didn't speak, and even her expression didn't change. She turned back and glanced at the crowd of ministers. Suddenly, everyone trembled, bowed their heads, and did not dare to breathe. There was a trace of fear on everyone's face. It's none of my business, it's none of my business. Seeing Huang Rumeng's gaze sweeping over, Xiang Tinji waved his hand repeatedly and moved back in horror. Huang Rumeng waved her right hand and put away the demon seal. Then, she looked in the direction of Sun Hao, "Young master, I will go to my mother first." Huang Ruming stretched out her hand and stretched forward. Buzz, the air shook up layers of ripples. Her whole body drilled into the ripples and disappeared. Seeing Huang Ruming leave, the ministers collapsed to the ground, and beads of sweat rolled down. On their faces, there was a joy of surviving a disaster. On the streets of Phoenix City, in front of Sun Hao, the line was getting longer and longer. Ding, blessing point +3. Sun Hao stared at the blessing point panel, motionless. There are still 3 more points to reach 300,000. This time there should be some changes, right? Sun Hao muttered to himself. Ding, blessing point +3. After this sound, buzz, a sound shook in his mind. Gotcha! On Sun Hao's body, it seemed that some kind of membrane was torn open. At this moment, the scenery in front of him changed rapidly. Now he was in a starry sky. In front of him, there was a star shining with dazzling light. Sun Hao squinted his eyes. After adapting to the light, he looked ahead. His pupils contracted and his face was huge. He saw that outside the star, there was an incomparably huge palm. In other words, an indescribable giant was holding this star. Even if it was far enough away, Sun Hao could clearly sense the heat emitted by that star. Playing with a star in one's hand was simply unheard of. What kind of monster is this? Sun Hao muttered to himself, shocked. Suddenly, the flames on the star flew up and went straight into the dark universe. After a while, 2 fiery red eyes stared straight at Sun Hao. The size of the eyes was the size of dozens of stars. Under the eyes there was a huge mouth. Like a black hole, it was swallowing the flames above the star. Buzz, on the giant's body, bursts of fiery red light lit up, flashing and extinguishing, very regular. On his body, a wave of air swept in all directions. One by one, the stars, like rotten wood, quickly burst apart. Whoosh, pieces of dust, bursting out at an incomprehensible speed, rushed towards Sun Hao. The huge debris blasted on Sun Hao in an instant. At this moment, Sun Hao's body collapsed and disappeared on the spot. His consciousness returned to his body. Sun Hao's face showed a look of shock. His heart felt like it was hit by a tsunami, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. What the hell was that scene just now? Is this a monster from the depths of the universe? Why is it so terrifying? Why can I see it? Is this some kind of memory? The more he thought about it, the bigger Sun Hao's head became. Uneasiness was written all over his face. If it was really a monster from the depths of the universe, it would be an indescribable disaster for the 3 realms. Just a little spread of power could blow up countless planets. If a punch was blasted out, wouldn't it blow up a star field? If this monster came, who could survive? Sun Hao took a few breaths of cold air. It took him a long time to calm down. It's terrifying. Could it be that my mind is wandering? Does this have anything to do with the blessing point reaching 300,000? Sun Hao secretly wiped his cold sweat, showing a look of fear. Suddenly, "Young master, I'll go find my mother first." In his ear, Huang Ruming's voice sounded. Ruming? His eyes swept around, but he did not find Huang Ruming. What's going on? Sun Hao looked around with a puzzled face. Could it be that Ruming used some kind of secret method to transmit her voice to me? Sun Hao thought secretly. "Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. Young master, I'll buy 3 bottles. The man said 3 times in a row. I heard it, I'm not deaf. Sun Hao took out 3 jade bottles and handed them to the man. Thank you, young master. The man took the jade bottle and retreated with a face full of joy. P.S. Group 9477828868, looking forward to you joining. Chapter 311. Phoenix City, Divine Elephant King's Residence. Father, slow down. Xiang Taijun supported Xiang Tinji as they entered the hall. After sitting down, Xiang Tinji let out a few long breaths and showed an expression of lingering fear. Jun pass down my order, immediately evacuate from Phoenix City. Xiang Taijun said. Father, why? Xiang Taijun was puzzled. We can't stay in Phoenix City. No, we can't stay in the entire demon ancestral mountain. We must immediately go to the Penglai continent and leave the Purple Sun Star. A solemn expression appeared on Xiang Tinji's face. Father, you should at least tell me the reason. Xiang Taijun said. Huang Ruming's strength has reached an extremely terrifying realm. Xiang Tinji said. No matter how powerful Huang Ruming is, can she be more powerful than Master? Xiang Taijun said. Shut up. Master my ass. He's a devil. If he wins, I dare say that the entire Phoenix City will be plunged into misery and suffering. Everyone will turn into his tools and become monsters that are neither human nor ghost. Don't you know anything about Golden Crow City? Xiang Tinji's words caused Xiang Taijun to break out in a cold sweat, fear appearing on his face. If Huang Ruming wins, we won't have a chance to survive. Therefore, we can only run. Xiang Tinji said. Father, I'll make the arrangements immediately. After Xiang Taijun finished speaking, he quickly retreated. When he arrived at the government office, Xiang Taijun frowned. I'm not willing to leave just like that. The first princess is a peerless beauty. How can we let him off so easily? You dared to kiss the first princess. If I don't show you how powerful I am, do you really think I'm a sick cat? Xiang Taijun thought to himself as he clenched his fist. Not long after. Commander, an armored guard quickly came over. What is it? Xiang Taijun asked. Commander, look, with that, Garde took out a jade bottle and handed it to Xiang Taijun. What is this? Commander, you'll know once you open it. Open? Puzzled, Xiang Taijun opened the jade bottle. After looking inside, his pupils shrank and his face was filled with shock. There's actually such a divine brew in this world? Xiang Taijun took the jade bottle and drank it in one gulp. Instantly. Kacha, his cultivation level immediately broke through from the yellow immortal stage to the mystic immortal stage. Not only that, but his mental state and talent had also improved significantly. He stood in place. Xiang Taijun was so excited that his body was trembling slightly. He broke through after being stuck for 100 years? Moreover, my state of mind and talent have at least doubled. There's actually such a divine brew in this world. What if I have 10, 100 or even 1,000 bottles? The more he thought about it, the more excited Xiang Taijun became. It was a long time. Only then did he calm down. Where did you get this? Xiang Taijun looked at Guardian A and asked. Commander, this is my... Guardian A roughly explained the situation. You mean, this is being sold by a human named Sun Hao? Is he someone that the first princess has taken a fancy to? Xiang Taijun asked. Not bad. Garda nodded, Commander. It is said that this young Master Sun Hao saved everyone in Beiluo City. Hearing this, Xiang Taijun frowned slightly. Unexpectedly, he turned out to be Sun Hao. This was a little difficult to deal with. Could this immortal brew have been brewed by him? Impossible. How can there be such a strong person in this world? The first princess seems to have told him to let him sell wine. Could it be that she is talking about this kind of immortal brew? It is impossible for the first princess not to know the importance of this kind of immortal brew. There is only one possibility to sell it at such a low price. That is, this thing can be brewed by Sun Hao. Thinking of this, Xiang Taijun took a few breaths of cold air. If such a character was controlled in his hands, wouldn't the entire demon Ancestor mountain, no, Xiang Star be under his control? The more he thought about it, the more excited Xiang Taijun was. For a while, he couldn't calm down at all. After a few long breaths, Xiang Taijun felt a lot better. However, to be able to brew this kind of immortal wine, his strength must not be simple. Let's test it first. Thinking like this, Xiang Taijun looked at Garde How is Sun Hao's strength? Commander, unfathomable. Guard A said. Why do you say that? Xiang Taijun asked. Commander, you don't know, when young Master Sun Hao first started selling immortal wine, Wild Leopard family Bao Xin had trouble with him, but they were all dead. No one can see how young Master Sun Hao did it. Speaking of this, Guard A's face showed a look of fear. Hearing this, Xiang Taijun frowned, his face full of thought. For a long time. That's the only way. You come here. Commander, what orders do you have? You go down immediately. Yes, Commander. Phoenix City, on a street. In front of Sun Hao, it was densely packed with people. Ding, blessing point +3. Hearing such a prompt, the corner of Sun Hao's mouth rose and he looked proud. If this goes on, it won't take long to sell out the immortal wine on him. At that time, the blessing point can reach 500,000. If he brews another 500,000 bottles of immortal wine, he can reach 1 million blessing point. He can obtain a supreme physique and open the road of cultivation. What? Top-grade immortal crystal? Are you kidding? Suddenly, an explosion sounded from the crowd. Swish, everyone's eyes were fixed on it. They saw that a green-haired man lowered his voice. Shoo, keep your voice down. Keep your voice down, say quickly, what top-grade immortal crystal? We all heard it, if you don't say it, don't think about leaving here today. The green-haired man showed a face of fear and waved his hand again and again. Everyone, I'll say it, I'll say it. You must not tell anyone else about this news. This news is leaked from the royal family. It is said that the royal family found the top-grade immortal crystal mine vein in the Demon Burial Mountain Range. According to the survey, there are at least tens of millions of top-grade immortal crystals in this mine vein. As soon as these words came out, there was dead silence all around. Everyone couldn't help but dig their ears, extremely surprised. Hiss, the sound of gasping came one after another. You're lying. Tens of millions of top-grade immortal crystals? Can Xiang Star have it? Yes. With so many top-grade immortal crystals, why doesn't the royal family go and mine them? Also, isn't the Demon Burial Mountain Range an immortal king forbidden area? How did you manage to explore such a large vein? Voices of doubt sounded constantly. When the green-haired man heard these words, he smiled awkwardly and waved his hand again and again. Everyone, if I knew, why would I still be here? The green-haired man said. Humph, this news was released by you. If you don't give a reasonable explanation, don't think about leaving here today. Yes, dare to lie to us like this, unforgivable. A group of people surrounded the green-haired man. Looking at these unfriendly gazes, the green-haired man broke out in a cold sweat and waved his hand again and again. Everyone, please spare my life. Looking at this, everyone was about to beat this green-haired man up. At this time, what he said is true. Chapter 3:12. He's telling the truth. This voice instantly attracted everyone's attention. The one who spoke was a man in a blue robe. What's real? Do you have any proof? That's right. Who doesn't know how to brag? I think you two are in cahoots. Facing the criticism of the crowd, the blue-robed man did not care in the slightest. He stood there with a calm expression on his face. He waited for the crowd to calm down before he spoke. The Demon Burial Mountain Range is not some celestial king forbidden zone that you speak of. The innermost layer with a circumference of 5,000 kilometers is the forbidden zone for immortal kings. As for that top-grade immortal crystal vein, it just so happens to be in the middle area. Relatively speaking, it's relatively safer. According to the great Taoist master's exploration, there are indeed tens of millions of supreme-grade immortal crystals inside. The blue-robed man spoke word by word, voicing everyone's doubts. Empty words. Do you think we're stupid? That's right. You want to trick us into the Demon Burial Mountain Range? No way. The blue-robed man smiled and said, It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. However, I will tell you another piece of news. The royal family knows that this secret has been exposed and is currently recruiting minors. Anyone who has reached step 5 of the half-celestial stage can sign up. It is said that those who can come out alive after working for a year will be rewarded with 100 top-grade celestial crystals. As soon as these words came out, silence. Dead silence. The expressions on everyone's faces kept changing. Words could not describe the astonished look on his face. 100 supreme-grade immortal crystals? My God! 1, 10, 100 million. 100 supreme-grade celestial crystals were equivalent to 100 million low-grade celestial crystals. It's a fortune that you can't earn in 10,000 lifetimes. Even if you have so much, you'll need to be alive to spend it. The Demon Burial Mountain Range is filled with savage beasts and is incomparably terrifying. It is said that there are countless immortal-tier savage beasts there. Do you want to go in and die? Die? What was the point of living without money? Wasn't cultivation all about a glimmer of hope? Where can I register? The sound of discussion kept ringing. For a time, he could not calm down at all. In front of Sun Hao, the people lining up were getting fewer and fewer. Everyone clustered around the blue-robed man, like stars cupping the moon. One piece of supreme-grade immortal crystal was equivalent to 1 million pieces of low-grade immortal crystals. In the face of such a huge amount of wealth, it would be strange if one was not tempted. Sun Hao listened to this and frowned slightly. A supreme-grade immortal crystal mine? This purple sun star was so barren, so how could it possibly produce top-grade immortal crystals? Could there be a conspiracy behind this? Sun Hao thought secretly, and his eyes swept to where the blue-robed man was. They saw. The blue-robed man smiled and said, "It's at the entrance of the Imperial Palace. If you don't believe me, you can go and have a look." Would the Imperial Palace lie to you? Hearing this, many people rushed to the palace. In just a few breaths' time, the entire street was mostly empty. The blue-robed man smiled slightly. After glancing at Sun Hao, he followed the crowd and walked quickly. "Sigh, my strength is still too low. I can't go at all." "What are you afraid of? By young Master Sun Hao's immortal wine, and you will be able to improve immediately." Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Soon, everyone rushed to Sun Hao. However, they had only taken a few steps. Clang, a series of clanking sounds of armor rang out. A group of Jinjiawi rushed over and stood in different places. They used their divine sense to transmit their voices into the ears of the beast cultivators. If anyone dares to buy his celestial wine again, they will be going against the divine elephants. Going against young Master Tai Jun. When these voices reached the ears of those beast cultivators, their faces were full of fear. They reluctantly retreated and left this place. Soon, in front of Sun Hao, there was no one left in the queue. There were only a few people watching in the distance. Looking at this scene, Sun Hao frowned slightly. When the Jinjiawi appeared, no one bought the celestial wine immediately. Everyone seemed to be afraid of them. In that case, he would change places. Thinking like this, Sun Hao put away the tables and chairs, held the blood wolf, and quickly left. Along the way, there were Jinjiawi standing on both sides of the street. There were obviously fewer pedestrians on the road than not long ago. "Hey, it seems that I can't sell it for the time being. Let's go to the tea house first to inquire about the situation." Thinking like this, Sun Hao walked into a tea house. After sitting down, he began to listen carefully. Phoenix City was so big that not everyone knew Sun Hao. After glancing at Sun Hao for a while, they continued to talk. Most of the things they talked about were about the imperial family's recruitment of minors. Everyone was brimming with enthusiasm and excitement. For a long time, this heat gradually dissipated. Big event, big event. At this time, a shout came from downstairs. Immediately afterward, a man in cyan clothes ran up quickly. His shout immediately attracted the attention of many people. "What big event? Say it quickly." "Tell you, the Demon Emperor is missing." As soon as these words came out, many people took a breath of cold air. They knew very well what the disappearance of the demon emperor meant. Such a major event was likely to cause the entire Phoenix clan to fall into chaos of power struggle. What can we do? Let's leave Phoenix City first and avoid the limelight. It seems that the top-grade immortal crystal mineral vein must be fake. The people who were drinking tea stood up one after another, full of fear. Listen to me first, don't rush to leave. Don't worry, the situation is very stable. Let me tell you, the strength of the first princess is infinitely close to the immortal king. As soon as she made a move, she suppressed everyone, and no one dared to rebel. Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Can't you finish it all at once? It really scared me to death. That's right, it's too scary. In the battle for the royal family, won't we little demons be cannon fodder? The man in cyan clothes smiled awkwardly, showing a very embarrassed look. Tell you, the disappearance of the demon emperor is actually to the demon burial mountain range. When the first princess learned of this, she personally took people to find the demon emperor. The man in cyan clothes said. What? So, didn't the first princess go to the demon burial mountain range? You can say that. With a strong person like the first princess leading the way, can we also go to the demon burial mountain range? Listening to this, Sun Hao frowned slightly. On his face, there was a thoughtful look. Coincidence, too coincidence. I always feel like someone deliberately let me go to the demon burial mountain range. Who the hell is it? Suddenly, Sun Hao raised his eyebrows. It's definitely him, Xiang Taijun. At that time, after Ruming kissed him, Xiang Taijun was next to her. At that time, he took a deep look at himself. Presumably, at that time, he already bore a grudge in his heart. Moreover, he was the commander of the Imperial Army. Wasn't it him who mobilized the Golden Armor Guards? This step could be said to be carefully designed. But it was full of loopholes and couldn't stand any deliberation. Since he was targeted like this, then it wouldn't be Xiang Taijun, that was impossible. Hee, I'd like to see what tricks you are playing. Sun Hao's face showed a cold smile. P.S. Group 9477828868, looking forward to everyone joining. Chapter 313. Divine Elephant Palace in the main hall. Commander, everything is under control. In front of Xiang Taijun, the deputy commander stood respectfully in front of him, and said with a smile. Hearing this, Xiang Taijun raised the corner of his mouth, and his face was full of pride. Sun Hao, as long as you go to the demon burial mountain range, you will not return. Although it's a pity that you die, the universe ring on your body will definitely fall into my hands. At that time, all the immortal wine in it will be mine. Xiang Taijun thought secretly, and his face became more and more proud. His own plan could be said to be intertwined. First, he used the name of the demon emperor to spread the news of the top-grade immortal crystal mine vein. This kind of thing, as long as you get a piece, you will become a rich man. Greed was a weakness of human nature, and monster cultivators were no exception. Even if the news was fake, everyone would believe it due to their greed. This was just the first step of attacking the heart. Presumably, Sun Hao would also be extremely excited when he heard this news, right? Top-grade immortal crystal? Even if there is such a good thing in the small purple sun star, it will not be our turn. Xiang Taijun smiled and shook his head. The above was just the first step. The second step was naturally not to let people buy the immortal wine on him. Otherwise, if it was all sold out, where could he get it? If he couldn't sell the wine, he would be bored. When he was bored, he would think of the immortal crystal mine. His heart must be extremely excited. He began to help again and spread the false news of Huang Ruming. This news was true and false, and it was extremely difficult to distinguish. Even if Sun Hao was strong, presumably because Huang Ruming was in danger, he would rush to the demon burial mountain range. Thinking of this, Xiang Taijun was extremely proud, I am really a genius. I can actually think of such a perfect plan. Somehow, you will definitely fall into my hands. Buzz, suddenly there was a shock. The deputy commander took out a communication jade slip, and his face changed slightly. Commander, that kid is gone. The deputy commander said. What? Gone? Aren't all our people in the city? How could we lose him? Xiang Tiejuan's face changed slightly. When he looked up, he saw a young man in white standing at the door. In his arms, he was holding a little red puppy. He walked toward Xiang Taijun step by step, and every step he took seemed natural and looked particularly comfortable. It was Sun Hao. He stroked the blood wolf while walking towards Xiang Taijun. His calm expression made him seem like a king who had everything under his control. You've racked your brains to get me to the Demon Burial Mountain Range. What's your purpose? These words caused Xiang Tiejuan's body to tremble and his expression to change dramatically. What are you talking about? What Demon Burial Mountain Range? I don't know what you're talking about. You trespassed into the prince's palace. How should you be punished? Xiang Taijun pointed at Sun Hao and shouted. Hee hee. Sun Hao smiled slightly and calmly walked to a chair and sat down. You sure know how to act. My time is limited. I can't be bothered to explain it to you. Tell me your purpose. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. His voice wasn't loud, but it was full of vigor. Xiang Tiejuan's expression kept changing. For a moment, he did not know whether to advance or retreat. To be able to save the entire Northfall city, this person's strength was indeed not simple. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have set her eyes on him. Wouldn't it be better to just buy it? It's all my fault for being too greedy and wanting to obtain everything. I used the greed of others, but I was blinded by greed myself. On Xiang Tiejuan's face there was a look of regret. Dare to be so disrespectful to the great commander, courting death. Xiang Taijun was stunned for a moment, but he saw that the deputy commander had already rushed forward. Xiang Taijun was taken aback by the terrifying aura. Don't, Xiang Taijun waved his hand, but there was no time to stop him. Buzz, the deputy commander's long spear blasted out, shaking up layers of air waves. Sun Hao touched the blood wolf and raised the corner of his mouth. As soon as he raised his head, he stared directly at the deputy commander. Immediately, boom, the deputy commander who rushed over, his body fell to the ground, lying directly in front of Sun Hao, as if he was kowtowing in salute. The deputy commander raised his head slightly and looked at his embarrassing scene. All the reason in his heart was replaced by anger. He stared at Sun Hao with blood-red eyes. Damn kid! He just struggled to get up. Gotcha! The sound of bones breaking sounded. The deputy commander lay on the ground again, shivering. Even if he used his whole body, he couldn't move a finger. Terrifying power enveloped his whole body. For a while, he couldn't move at all. You, the deputy commander murmured for a long time, but he didn't spit out a word. If you want to kill me, you must be prepared to be killed. The words came out. Boom, the deputy commander's body exploded, directly burst into dust, and he couldn't be more dead. Such a scene strongly stimulated Xiang Tiejuan's nerve. He looked at Sun Hao as if he was looking at a monster. With just a glance, the deputy commander had no strength to struggle. With just one sentence, the deputy commander directly exploded into dust. This level of strength, even an immortal venerable could not do it. Although the deputy commander was only in the yellow immortal realm, he was also an immortal. What he cultivated was still the strongest cultivation method of the physical body, the divine elephant overpowering strength. Plop! Without any hesitation, Xiang Taijun knelt in front of Sun Hao and kept kowtowing. My lord, I was wrong, please spare my life. I didn't let him do it, he asked for it. Xiang Tiejuan's head knocked heavily on the ground. You have self-knowledge, I will give you a chance to live. Say, why did you take me to the Demon Burial Mountain Range? Sun Hao looked at Xiang Taijun coldly. My lord, it is this lowly one who deserves to die. I took a fancy to the immortal brew you brewed. Listening to Xiang Tiejun's words, Sun Hao's face gradually became cold. Xiang Taijun knelt on the ground shivering. My lord, this lowly one deserves to die, this lowly one deserves to die. I shouldn't covet your immortal brew, spare my life, spare my life. Xiang Taijun looked like he was crying bitterly. On Sun Hao's face, there was only cold killing intent. So, the Demon Emperor is really missing? Sun Hao asked. My lord, yes, yes. He was kidnapped by Lord No Lai Shang. Xiang Taijun said. Who is Lai Shang? Sun Hao asked. My lord, he is a member of the Golden Crow clan, very powerful. He said that he wanted to kill all the Divine Phoenix clan in front of Huang Ruming. It is said that it is because Huang Ruming killed his father. Xiang Taijun told everything without hiding anything, for fear that Sun Hao would not be satisfied. Lai Shang? Sun Hao frowned slightly, a hint of killing intent flashed away. I want to see how capable you are. In that case, I will come and meet you. Sun Hao touched Bloodwolf with a confident face. He was the strongest buff. Even if he couldn't fight, he could enhance Ruming's buff, right? Also, giving Bloodwolf could also enhance the buff. At that time, 2 against 1, could it be that Lai Shang could still go to heaven? Hearing Sun Hao's words, Xiang Tiejun's face changed drastically. My lord, you must not. Why? Sun Hao frowned. Lai Shang said that as long as you go, kill all the people of the Divine Phoenix clan immediately. Hearing this, Sun Hao's figure stagnated. Chapter 314. Alright, I understand. I'll spare your life for now. However, you must remember, if you dare to take even half a step out of Phoenix City, your divine elephants don't need to exist in this world. After speaking, Sun Hao took a step and left quickly. Yes. Yes, my lord. Xiang Taijun nodded repeatedly. After leaving the Divine Elephant King's mansion, Sun Hao came to Phoenix City with Bloodwolf. You don't want me to go, but I'm going. This Lai Shang must be afraid of me. Since that's the case, I'd like to see how capable you are. In Sun Hao's eyes, the killing intent rose. Few, with a thought, the immortal boat flew out and landed in front of Sun Hao. He carried Xue Lang and walked into the immortal boat. Coming to the control room, Sun Hao took out the carving knife. Then I'll set up some concealment formations. This way, it won't be easy for Lai Shang to discover me. Also, play a few more songs for Big Wolf. The stronger it is, the safer we will be. After some thought, Sun Hao made a decision. Then, he took the carving knife and began to carve. Demon Ancestral Mountain, Golden Crow City. Huang Ruming walked in from outside the city gate, staring coldly ahead. They saw. In Golden Crow City, a bloody mist covered the surroundings. From time to time, the faint smell of blood would enter his nostrils. Howl, from time to time, the low roars of monsters could be heard coming from the city. The depressing atmosphere became even more oppressive. Thud thud, Huang Ruming's speed did not decrease as she walked toward the city step by step. The blood mist quickly surged forward, but it was blocked by his body. It looked like a shield had formed around his body. Suddenly, swish, a piercing sound rang out. A golden crow rushed over and stretched out its sharp claws to grab Huang Ruming. Humph! Huang Ruming snorted coldly. With a thought, a wisp of flame floated in front of her. He aimed at the golden crow and shot towards it. Bang! There was a dull explosion. The golden crow fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then stopped moving. A ball of flame began to burn from the inside out. After a while, on the ground there were only 3 red feathers left. Huang Ruming did not stop and continued to walk forward. Swish! Several air-piercing sounds rang out. Several golden crows rushed towards Huang Ruming. Front, back, left, right, every position was sealed. Buzz, the collision created layers of air waves. Wherever the shock wave passed, the house would directly collapse into fine powder. Huang Ruming's expression was calm. She stretched out her right hand unhurriedly, and a wisp of red flame moved at her fingertips. Buzz, there was a tremor. The flames split into 4 and shot out in 4 different directions. Bang, 4 muffled explosions sounded at the same time. The 4 golden crows fell to the ground, motionless, as if bombs had exploded in their bodies. The flames burned in his body, leaving only a few fire feathers on the ground. Thud thud, Huang Ruming's footsteps did not stop. Along the way, all the golden crows that charged forward were burned to ashes without exception. Not long after Huang Ruming left, a figure sneakily walked into Golden Crow City. This person was Ujizi. He hid behind a house and poked his head out to look around. He appeared very cautious. Suddenly, his eyebrows twitched, his pupils contracted, and his heart beat violently. Golden Crow Flame Feather? Ujizi's face was filled with excitement as he looked at the 3 fire feathers on the ground, motionless. Each golden crow had 3 flaming feathers. This thing was extremely resistant to fire and was the best material for making defensive magic treasures. Every one of them was very precious and worth a lot. Such a good thing was just left here. Also, why was there no one in the entire city? Conspiracy, it must be a conspiracy. Trying to lure this old man into a trap? It's not that easy. Ujizi thought to himself as he hid in the corner, motionless. A quarter of an hour passed. A wave of restlessness surged through his body. The 3 fire feathers on the ground had an extreme temptation, attracting Ujizi to walk forward step by step. Suppressing his violently beating heart, Ujizi quickly picked up the fire feather, and his figure flashed back. He took the fire feather and carefully stored it in his soul space. Looks like I was thinking too much, there is no trap at all. Continue. Thinking like this, Ujizi continued forward. After a few steps, Ujizi's expression froze, and he quickly crouched down. Not far away, there were 12 fire feathers strongly stimulating his eyes. These fire feathers were obviously stronger than the 3 from before. However, the surrounding ground had been flattened, and many houses had been destroyed. It was obvious that there had been an intense battle here. He had to be careful. After turning into a crouching demon for a quarter of an hour, Ujizi could no longer remain calm. The thirst for treasures in his heart quickly burned away his rationality. He walked in front of the fire feather like a zombie and picked it up. Finally, he stored it in his soul space. There is no danger. Looks like I was thinking too much. This time, Ujizi's expression was calm as he continued forward. Not long later, he stood in front of a deep pit, his face full of shock. In front of him, the houses were all over the place, and all kinds of debris were scattered around. In the deep pit, hundreds of fire feathers strongly stimulated Ujizi's nerve. I'm rich, I'm rich! His body trembled slightly with excitement. He did not hesitate. He quickly rushed over. With a wave of his right hand, all the fire feathers were stored in his soul space. Ha! I didn't expect that my luck would turn for the better. The heavens are really helping me. Ujizi muttered to himself and almost laughed out loud. He calmed himself down and continued to search. Not long later, he saw a fire feather. That kind of fiery red light was extremely tempting. Without a second thought, he rushed forward and picked them all up. I'm really rich. These fire feathers are obviously much stronger. They can be sold for at least dozens of immortal crystals. I can at least forge 2 magic treasures. Ujizi let out a long breath. Just as he was about to move, he looked up and his pupils constricted. His expression changed drastically. He saw that in the blood mist, a bright red light strongly stimulated his eyes. This light floated in midair. Such a bright fire feather, I'm afraid it's an immortal level fire feather. Ujizi's heart seemed to jump out of his throat. At this moment, he could no longer remain calm. Without thinking, he rushed forward, grabbed it, and put it back. He was horrified to find that this fire feather could not be taken back. He squinted his eyes and couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian retreated. However, before he could retreat a few steps, he found that his whole body seemed to be imprisoned, unable to move. Master, this disciple missed you so much. A scalp-tingling sound rang in his ears. At this moment, Yujizi's body trembled involuntarily. What do you want to do? Yujizi's voice trembled. Lai Shang appeared in front of Yujizi in an instant, his face full of smiles. Master, I almost forgot about you. I didn't expect that you would run in front of me again. In this disciple's mind, I remembered those happy past events again. This disciple is really grateful to you. I'll give you a massage now. Lai Shang smiled and walked forward. No, don't come over. Boom, don't hit the face, You animal, do you want to make this old man die without descendants? Shrill screams sounded continuously. Chapter 3:15. Huang Rumming stood in place, calmly looking ahead. On his face, there was only cold, killing intent. In front of her stood 5 green-robed men. Every single one of them exuded the aura of an immortal realm. You want to stop me too? Call Lai Shang out. Otherwise, don't blame me for starting a massacre. Huang Rumming said. Haha, First Princess, it looks like you're really ambitious. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't do that. At the very least, I would investigate thoroughly. Do you think that just because you're a heavenly immortal? Before the green-robed leader could finish speaking, he was horrified to find that his body flew out uncontrollably and fell into Huang Ruming's hands. Huang Ruming's right hand looked weak, but it had a tremendous force that made the green-robed leader unable to struggle. He was sure that if he moved recklessly, his neck would be crushed and he would die miserably on the spot. You talk too much. Speak. Where is my mother? Huang Ruming's voice gradually turned cold. Eldest princess, I really don't know. The green-robed leader's face was full of bitterness. I advise you to let me go and quickly escape. 5 tortoises, you don't even want your shells anymore. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the 5 green-robed men changed drastically. You can tell that we are from the Divine Turtle Clan? The green-robed leader looked surprised. Huang Rumming coldly snorted and threw the green-robed leader to the ground. Then, she waved her right hand and a tortoise slowly appeared. This person was the patriarch of the Divine Turtle Clan, Xian Lao. Xian Lao's face was ashen and his eyes were lifeless. Seeing Xian Lao, the 5 green-robed men knelt on the ground at the same time. Greetings, old ancestor. Hearing this, Xian Lao's lifeless eyes regained some clarity. Why are you here? Xian Lao asked. Ancestor, under the orders of the Lord, shut up. Xian Lao shouted and the green-robed leader immediately shut his mouth. You still call that kind of monster master? Pooh. You guys don't even want your armor anymore? What a bunch of bastards. Xian Lao turned into his human form, pointing at the 5 of them and scolding them. The green-robed men were dumbfounded, their faces full of disbelief. Old ancestor, if it wasn't for you, shut up. Hurry up and greet the eldest princess. Xian Lao shouted, causing the green-robed men's expressions to change. They knelt down under the puzzled gazes. Greetings, First Princess. Get up. Thank you, Princess. The 5 of them stood up and stood in front of Xian Lao, their faces filled with doubt. Old ancestor, what exactly happened? Only the First Princess can save my Divine Turtle Clan. Speaking of this, Xian Lao walked in front of Huang Rumming, cupped his fists and bowed. Eldest Princess, please forgive me for my previous disrespect? Seeing this, Huang Rumming was startled. Xian Lao, what exactly happened? First Princess, a green-furred ape-like monster has come to our clan. It's extremely powerful. Even I am no match for it. It threatened and enticed us to deal with the Divine Phoenix race. There's no other way. I can only seek help from the Dragon Lord and borrow his limitless stillness to deal with the Divine Phoenix Ancestor. As he said this, Xian Lao lowered his head, his face full of shame. Since the green-haired monster is so powerful, why didn't he personally take action? Huang Rumeng asked. First Princess, this is what I don't understand as well. But I don't dare to ask. Thinking about it, it should be because he is afraid of some kind of cause and effect, Xianlao said. Huang Rumeng's face was full of doubt. Then why are you in cahoots with Lai Shang? Huang Rumeng asked. Eldest Princess, there's no other way. Lai Shang found the Lord. No, the green-haired monster, and made some kind of agreement. We became his slaves and were ordered around by him, the green-robed leader said. Lai Shang? The green-haired monster? What do they have to do with the destruction of Tu City? Who was it that destroyed Tu Mountain? A series of questions filled Huang Rumeng's mind. However, there was no time to think about this now. What she needed to do now was to save the Queen Mother. Lai Shang, I'm here. Are you still going to hide? Huang Rumeng's voice was faint, resounding throughout the entire Golden Crow City. Kiki, gloomy laughter sounded from all directions. Good, good. You dare to betray this seat. Looks like your divine turtle race doesn't need to exist in this world. Hearing this, the green-robed men's expressions changed greatly. They nodded to each other and suddenly attacked. Bang! One of them directly pierced through Xian Lao's chest and pulled out old Ancestor Xian Lao's heart. Then, with a gentle pinch, it was crushed into powder. You! Xian Lao pointed at the green-robed leader, his body twitching, his face full of unwillingness and disbelief. The green-robed leader took off the mask on his face, revealing his true appearance. On his face there were green bumps densely packed, making people's scalp tingle. On these green bumps there was a metallic luster looking indestructible. Although you are the old ancestor, but you are disloyal to the Lord, this is the result. Our strength is all given by the Lord, it's impossible for us to betray him. Your time has passed, you can rest assured and go. The green-robed leader's face was full of pride. You will regret it. After saying this, Xian Lao fell directly to the ground, twitched a few times, and then there was no movement. On the other side, 4 green-robed men pounced straight at Huang Rumeng. Ding! For a moment, the sound of metal colliding rang out continuously. Huang Rumeng was beaten back repeatedly. First Princess, thank you for giving us time. After saying so much nonsense, we can use this kind of divine skill. First Princess, don't make a useless struggle, you are not our opponent. Our physical body is invincible. In this world, there is no physical body that can resist us. The 4 green-robed men said as they fought. Their voices were full of pride. Huang Rumeng smiled coldly. I underestimated you, only using 1 part of my strength to fight with you, it's time to use 3 parts of my strength. Who doesn't know how to talk big? Let's see the real deal. The 4 people rushed forward, aiming at Huang Rumeng, and it was a chaotic punch. Huang Rumeng's hand was like a whirlwind, fast to the extreme, and in an instant it hit the 4 fists at the same time. Immediately, boom! Boom! 4 explosions sounded. The 4 green-robed men looked at the fists in their hands in horror, their eyes full of disbelief. Only to see that the 4 fists, all exploded into powder, disappeared without a trace. This is impossible. How could he shatter my fist? This is definitely a dream. Our physical body is definitely the strongest. Fake, it must be fake. Ouch, it hurts. The Lord said that our physical body is the strongest. How can his words be fake? After a while, 4 mournful screams, shaking the sky, lingering for a long time. P.S. Group 9477828868, looking forward to your joining. Chapter 316. Humph! Die! Huang Rumeng snorted coldly, her face full of cold, killing intent. She stretched out her finger and pointed forward. Swoosh! Swoosh! 4 air-piercing sounds rang out. 4 wisps of chi strength shot out quickly. No, the 4 unwilling cries stopped abruptly. Boom! Boom! The 4 green-robed men fell down unwillingly. Above each person's eyebrows, there was a hole pierced through. Green liquid trickled out of the holes. It was a miserable sight. When the green-robed leader saw this scene, his face showed horror, and his body trembled violently. Without thinking about it, he turned into a stream of light and flew toward the sky. Want to run? Huang Rumeng smiled coldly and grabbed with her right hand. Buzz, the space trembled, and the green-robed leader's body flew out uncontrollably. No, don't. No matter how he struggled, there was no use at all. In an instant, he fell into Huang Rumeng's hand. Spare me! Eldest princess, spare me! The green-robed leader's face was full of begging for mercy. Since you want to choose to betray, you must have the awareness of death. After speaking, Huang Rumeng's right hand exerted force. No, I was forced, before the words fell. The green-robed leader's neck broke, his head tilted, and there was no movement. Well done! They really deserve to die. If you want to see this seat, this little strength is not enough. Don't worry, take your time, we have plenty of time. Hee, Lai Shang's voice came from all directions. After the laughter. On the ground, the blood mist rushed up. In an instant, it wrapped the entire Golden Crow City. The blood mist was as thick as blood, stopping everything. Swoosh, the blood mist twined and circled rapidly, stacking on top of each other. In the blink of an eye, it formed 4,000-meter-tall blood-colored giant. The aura of the heavenly immortal realm emanated from the blood-colored giants, sweeping the world. Howl, 4 roars, earth-shattering. Huang Rumeng looked at this scene and frowned slightly. Sizzle, a wisp of electricity continuously shot out from her fingertip, emitting a heart-palpitating aura. Go! Huang Rumeng pointed with her right hand, and these electric lights split into 4, rushing out in 4 directions. In an instant, it landed on the bodies of the 4 blood-colored giants and exploded. Buzz, after a loud sound, the 4 blood-colored giants exploded into mist and disappeared without a trace. All of the bloody mist of Golden Crow City evaporated. Huang Rumeng stood in place, coldly glancing around. Within the city, a bloody mist surged once more. In the blink of an eye, Golden Crow City was once again impenetrable. Not bad, not bad. He's very strong. Next, let's play something a little more difficult. If you don't have this ability, many people will die. Look, after this sound. In the sky, a barrier suddenly surged up, and a scene appeared in front of Huang Rumeng. In the image, tens of thousands of people were tied to pillars. These people were all from the divine phoenix race. They opened their mouths wide and let out soundless screams. Behind them, spikes slowly pierced into their bodies. You only have half an hour to find them and rescue them. Otherwise, once the heart is pierced, then prepare to collect their corpses. The laughter was faint and lingered for a long time. Arrogance, revenge, all kinds of emotions were contained in it. Who are you? You and I have no hatred in the past, no hatred today, why do this? Huang Rumeng asked. No hatred. Huang Rumeng, you killed my father, you don't remember, right? Hearing this, Huang Rumeng frowned, revealing a thoughtful look. After a while, he seemed to think of something. You are the son of Lai Young Golden Crow? It seems that you still remember. Lai Shang said. He wanted to kill me, I just killed him. Since you want to avenge him, then you must be prepared to die. Huang Rumeng's voice was cold. Die? With just you? Come on. The good show begins. After saying this, the surroundings returned to calm. Huang Rumeng snorted coldly and instantly disappeared. When she appeared again, she had already appeared in the sky picture. She saw. She waved her right hand. Beams of light flew up from her fingertips and flew everywhere. Boom, the chains binding everyone's bodies broke inch by inch. Everyone regained their freedom. When they saw Huang Rumeng, they were stunned. Princess? Surprise, shock, disbelief, all kinds of expressions were written on everyone's face. The princess is a waste? Such terrifying strength, how is she a waste? Too powerful, our clan is hopeful. Many people stood in place, excited. Thank you for saving my life, princess. Everyone knelt on the ground and kowtowed. No, don't move, wait for me here. After speaking, Huang Ruming's figure flickered and disappeared. When she appeared again, she came to a cave. In the cave, hundreds of people were tied up. These people were all elders of the Divine Phoenix clan. Among them, Huang Yuli was among them. Mother Queen, Huang Ruming shouted, tears streaming down her face. Huang Yuli's strength had been devoured clean. Now she was like a cripple, sitting there, motionless. Compared to the demon emperor who suppressed the demon Ancestor mountain, it was countless times worse. Hearing Huang Ruming's voice, Huang Yuli slowly opened her eyes. First, she was shocked, then happy, then worried and frightened. Using all her strength, Huang Yuli did not shout a word. Huang Ruming's body trembled slightly, the corner of her mouth twitched, her heart aching. She waved her right hand and pulled out the iron spike that pierced into Huang Yuli's body. Then, she removed the restriction on Huang Yuli's body, hugged Huang Yuli, tears streaming down. Mother Queen! Run, run quickly! Huang Yuli's voice was hoarse, her face full of anxiety. Mother Queen, don't worry! I'm here to save you. Helping Huang Yuli to sit on a chair, Huang Ruming released her aura. Boom, the iron chains tied to the clansmen all shattered. Seeing this scene, Huang Yuli opened her mouth wide, muttering for a long time without coming back to her senses. Meng'er, you, what realm have you reached? Huang Yuli asked. Mother Queen, I'm now a sky immortal, Huang Ruming said. Hearing this, Huang Yuli gasped, her face full of joy. First Princess, thank you for saving our lives. A group of clansmen swarmed over, surrounding Huang Ruming. Gratitude was written all over everyone's face. Big sister. At this time, a cry of surprise sounded. Looking over, a girl in a red robe was running over quickly. This person was Huang Ruming's younger sister, Huang Zaidi. Big sister, thank you for saving us. Huang Zaidi shouted loudly, throwing herself into Huang Ruming's arms. Huang Yuli looked at this scene, her face full of smiles. Seeing the two sisters being so harmonious, I'm also relieved. Suddenly, Huang Yuli's eyebrows twitched, her pupils shrank, her expression changed greatly, and she shouted, "Be careful!" But there was no time. Only to see. After Huang Zaidi threw herself into Huang Ruming's arms, the corner of her mouth raised into a cold smile. Her right hand quickly turned into a sharp blade, aimed at Huang Ruming's chest, and stabbed in. This sudden scene caused everyone's pupils to contract and their expressions to change drastically. Stab! The sound of metal stabbing into flesh rang out. Chapter 317. A group of people stared blankly at this scene, their faces full of disbelief. Even Huang Yuli, at this moment, was full of horror. Unexpectedly, her youngest daughter turned out to be such a monster. Be careful! Huang Yuli roared. But there was no time. Stab! The sound of metal piercing into flesh rang out. One of Huang Ruming's hands poured into Huang Zaidi's chest, and came out from her back. The other hand, 2 fingers pinched the sharp blade, and no matter how she struggled, it was useless. Big sister, you are so ruthless, you actually want to kill me. I'm your younger sister, your half-sister. Huang Zaidi was not affected in the slightest and said, Sister? Are you worthy? My sister is long dead. Huang Ruming waved her right hand. Boom, from top to bottom, Huang Zaidi's entire body directly exploded, exploding into a pool of green pus, flowing everywhere. Such a scene directly scared everyone in place. In the moment when they were stunned, Hua! The green pus surged rapidly, forming a small snake, and quickly rushed towards everyone. In an instant, it seemed to fall on every Divine Phoenix clan member. Swoosh! The green pus drilled into their nostrils and disappeared. In less than a moment, everyone's eyes all turned dark green. The cold light from the eyes made people's scalp numb. Even Huang Yuli was no exception, her eyes turned dark green. Everyone stood up straight and rushed towards Huang Rumming like zombies. Jia Jia, everyone opened their mouths at the same time, letting out a burst of strange laughter. My good sister, didn't you want to kill me? Come on, I'll stand here, let you kill. Come on, cut from here, I won't struggle. Everyone raised their necks, waiting for Huang Rumming to cut. As you wish. Huang Rumming snorted coldly, waved her right hand, and a guqin floated in front of her. Zheng, the sound of the guqin vibrated out from Huang Rumming's fingertips. It spread to everyone's ears. At this moment, everyone's eyes recovered a trace of clarity. Then, they hugged their heads, fell to the ground, screaming loudly. Zheng, as the sound of the guqin continued, everyone's screams became more intense. In other words, they screamed in unison, as if they were the same person. Beep, drops of green pus flowed out of their bodies. Finally, they gathered together and formed the shape of a girl. However, compared to before, this girl had clearly shrunk by half. Stop playing. The green monster clutched its head and fell to the ground, screaming in pain. Sizzle. His entire body was emitting wisps of black smoke. Stop playing, please stop playing, I'm your sister. No. How can you be so heartless? The Lord won't let you off. The green monster let out a shrill scream. His body shrunk smaller and smaller as he was engulfed by the zither music. In the end, he turned into a wisp of black smoke and disappeared without a trace. Only after the zither music stopped for a long time did everyone open their eyes. Looking at Huang Rumming, his gaze was filled with gratitude and worship. Xiao Meng, what happened just now? Huang Yuli asked. Mother Empress, little sister died a long time ago. That person just now should be a subordinate of some existence. Huang Rumming said. Dead. Huang Yuli staggered as tears streamed down her face. Although she was born from Xiang Tinji and herself, she was still a part of him. It would be a lie to say that she was not sad. Mother Empress, you have me in the future. Huang Rumming held Huang Yuli's hand tightly and said. N. Huang Yuli nodded and looked at Huang Rumming with an apologetic face. Meng you can call me Mother from now on. Mother is sorry I made you suffer. Huang Yuli said. Mother, don't say that. If it weren't for you, I might have died. Huang Rumming said. Meng Huang Yuli hugged Huang Rumming tightly. Suddenly, a burst of hearty laughter rang out. This sound was very abrupt. You really didn't let me down. You really have a deep mother-daughter relationship. This is a little interesting. A fiery red figure slowly condensed and stood in front of Huang Rumming. This person was Lai Shang. The corner of Lai Shang's mouth rose, revealing an expression of control over everything. Huang Rumming, today, I will kill them one by one in front of you. I want you to feel helpless. I want you to know the pain of losing a family member. Lai Shang looked up to the sky and laughed crazily. Mother, you step back and rest first. Leave the rest to me. Huang Rumming took 2 steps forward and looked at Lai Shang coldly. Humph! Huang Rumming snorted coldly, and the electric light on her fingertips kept running. Boom! In an instant, it blasted on Lai Shang's body. Lai Shang screamed again and again, struggling frantically. It looked like he was being tortured. It hurts, it really hurts. You are so ruthless. Lai Shang's screams gradually turned into a smile. He waved his right hand. The electric light that had just been used kept running on Lai Shang's fingertips. The light of Thunder Tribulation, not bad. It seems that the Thunder Tribulation giants are licking the godly cunning immortal. However, if you want to deal with me with this little ability, isn't it still a bit lacking? Lai Shang smiled and was complacent. Huang Rumming frowned slightly. You actually reached the venerable immortal realm. Huang Rumming said. Yo, you have a bit of vision. Next, we should have a good time. After saying that, Lai Shang waved his right hand. Huang Yoli and the others flew up uncontrollably and were all imprisoned in the air. Huang Ruming, I will give you the right to kill whoever you want me to kill? What do you think? You only have 3 breaths to think about it. If the time is over, I will kill her. Lai Shang pointed at Huang Yuli, his face full of pride. Huang Ruming stood in place, her face changing. Looking at Huang Ruming's expression, Lai Shang was extremely proud. Now the time starts. Senior, it seems that you need to take action. After saying this, quack, a duck cried. Immediately afterward, a 9 heavens god Luan flew up from behind Huang Ruming and slowly rose into the air. When Lai Shang saw this scene, his scalp couldn't help but explode, and his whole body's hair stood on end. He looked at the 9 heavens god Luan, and his face changed again and again. How could he not know the 9 heavens god Luan? Back then, he had been to the residence of the godly cunning immortal. He clearly remembered the aura of those powerful big shot. The 9 heavens god Luan was among them. He used a lot of secret methods to sense on Huang Ruming's body to confirm that there was no aura of the godly cunning immortal, as well as the aura of those big shots, before he made his move. So careful, but he still fell into the trap. It seemed that the hidden means of those big shots were extremely not simple. Kid, I haven't seen you for a few days, and you're jumping up. The pressure of the 9 heavens god Luan imprisoned Lai Shang like a tsunami. At this moment it was extremely difficult for him to move a finger. His teeth chattered and his body trembled. Say, Senior. You still have the face to call this seat senior. I haven't beaten you for a few days and you're already so arrogant. Last time I spared your little life, and you got a little inheritance and you're so arrogant. If you're really allowed to grow up, then wouldn't this world be destroyed by you? Madam, kill him, the 9 heavens god Luan said. As soon as these words came out, Lai Shang was like sinking into hell, despair like a tsunami, enveloping his whole body. I said, you have to have the awareness of death. Huang Ruming walked over step by step, her face full of cold, killing intent. You, don't come over, I'm going to use a big move. If you push me too hard, no one will think of getting better. Lai Shang roared angrily. However, Huang Ruming was unmoved. In an instant, she stood in front of Lai Shang. She stretched out that seemingly weak palm and grabbed at Lai Shang's chest. Chapter 3:18. This is what you forced me to do. I promise you. Lai Shang's voice shook the entire cave, buzzing. This sound rose. Buzz, heaven and earth trembled, time stood still, and space solidified. A figure slowly condensed and took shape. This figure was shaped like a giant ape, covered with green hair from head to toe, and looked very scary. That kind of cold, gloomy aura emanated from the green-haired monster. Rushing onto everyone, they couldn't help but tremble, and their whole body was icy cold. The 9 heavens god Luan's voice trembled, and his face changed again and again. The color of fear was written all over his face. Huang Ruming's lips trembled, standing in place, muttering for a long time, but did not spit out a word. Her whole body trembled involuntarily. That kind of icy-to-the-bone chill surged all over her body. Others, that was even more, crawling on the ground, shivering. Even Huang Yuli was no exception. Such a terrifying pressure, this is too terrifying, what is it? Could it be that it is also an immortal emperor-level powerhouse? Huang Yuli muttered to herself, her face full of horror. The green-haired monster ignored the crowd, but went straight to Lai Shang. Have you thought about it? The green-haired monster asked. Can I not think about it? Otherwise, I will die. Don't worry, I will agree to your conditions. Lai Shang nodded. Good. The green-haired monster stretched out his finger and touched Lai Shang in an instant. Buzz, a black vortex appeared on Lai Shang's body. As the vortex disappeared, only the echoes of Lai Shang's screams remained in place. Who? The green-haired monster's gaze swept. The icy cold aura rushed to everyone's body. Everyone's body trembled violently, and their hearts were filled with despair. 9 heavens, God Luan? The green-haired monster's gaze was fixed on Ingyu, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. I didn't expect you to be so weak. The green-haired monster spoke in human language. Hey, is the tragedy going to repeat itself? Yu Ying's gaze penetrated into the distance, revealing a thoughtful look. The next second, her body flew out uncontrollably and landed in front of the green-haired monster. I advise you to let me go, otherwise you will die here. Ingyu said. With that godly cunning immortal? Right now, he's just, before he finished his words. Clang, the sound of a zither drifted down from the sky, filling the entire cave. Bang, the suppressive force that imprisoned everyone's body shattered with a sound. Thud, thud, the green-haired monster took 2 steps back, its pupils constricted, its face full of panic. Impossible, how can you be so strong? His voice was filled with disbelief. Clang, the sound of the zither came in layers and layers. The 5-colored light poured down like the Milky Way, flooding the entire cave. Everyone's body was wrapped in 5-colored light. At this moment, boundless immortal power surged into everyone's body. Ingyu transformed into his human form, closed his eyes, and quietly absorbed the multicolored light. The corners of his mouth curled up. The wrinkles on her skin disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her skin quickly changed, becoming supple and glossy. She looked like a 20-year-old girl, and the aura of youth rippled out from her. The other side. Huang Rumen closed her eyes and quietly absorbed the multicolored light. A Taoist seal was faintly discernible between her brows. No, I don't want to be an ordinary celestial king. Only by becoming stronger can I be worthy of young master. Fuse! Huang Rumen shouted softly and began to merge the 2 great Daos together. Her brows wrinkled tightly, and her face showed a painful expression. However, she did not give up. Unlike Huang Rumen, the others all had a comfortable look. This, so soon I recovered? Huang Yuli sat in place in a daze, looking at the dense multicolored light around her like a fog. For a moment she was stunned in place. Which senior is it that is so powerful? Such a peerless opportunity, I can't miss it. After speaking, Huang Yuli closed her eyes and continued to absorb. On everyone's face there was a look of ease. The green-haired monster fell to the ground and kept screaming. It struggled wildly and roared angrily. However, it was useless. It couldn't stand up at all. The surrounding multicolored light was like the chi of destruction, burning its body and making a sizzling sound. The aura on its body was getting weaker and weaker. The whole body was covered with scars, and it was too horrible to look at. Damn it, you have grown to this point. Next time we meet, I will take your life. The green-haired monster stretched out his claws and pressed forward. Buzz, around his claws, there were layers of ripples. Seeing that, the green-haired monster was about to disappear. At this time, Zheng, the sound of the zither was like a storm rushing over. The ripples in front of the green-haired monster all disappeared. Along with it, the arm of the green-haired monster disappeared. It looked at its arm blankly, and for a moment it forgot the pain. A moment later, the mournful scream shook the sky. The green-haired monster fell to the ground, twitching wildly. When the sound of the zither stopped, the multicolored light disappeared. The green-haired monster's breath was flowing, motionless. That expression, as if a casual blow could end its life. Who, the first to open his eyes, was Ingyu. Her eyes were shining, and her face was full of joy. She looked up at the sky, grateful. Master, I didn't expect you to grow so much, it's great. My strength has recovered a lot, and it's enough to deal with it. Ingyu looked at the green-haired monster, his face full of killing intent. Senior. At this time, Huang Rumen also woke up. On her face, there was an uncontrollable surprise. This time, listening to the young master's song, It actually fused two kinds of great Tao. Although he had not become an immortal king, an ordinary immortal king was definitely not his opponent. Only by becoming stronger could he be worthy of the young master. Madam, you actually fused two kinds of great Tao. In Yu's face was full of joy. Yes, all of this is given by the young master. Huang Ruming looked up at the sky, her face full of gratitude. The two walked to the front of the green-haired monster, their killing intent undisguised. Jie, seeing the two people coming, the green-haired monster recovered a trace of strength and let out a burst of cold laughter. Say, do you have any last words? Yu said. Last words? The green-haired monster's laughter was creepy. Don't be complacent, it won't end well. When my master wakes up, it will be the time for your souls to fly away. Your godly cunning immortal is just food raised by the master. When he grows up, the master will wake up. Haha, the green-haired monster looked up to the sky and laughed. His body lit up with a dazzling green light. Boom, there was an explosion. The green-haired monster's whole body exploded. The terrifying power was about to sweep the entire cave. Yu waved his right hand, and the explosion shock wave was controlled by her within 2 meters, without hurting others. Senior, this kind of monster has a master? Yu sighed heavily, his face full of solemnity. Chapter 319. Sigh. Yu sighed heavily. History is repeating itself. I wonder if Master can, at this point. Yu seemed to have thought of something and quickly closed his mouth. Senior, what do you mean by history repeating itself? Huang Ruming looked at Yu with a puzzled expression. Yu woke up with a start. She looked at Huang Ruming with a cautious expression. Madam, there are some things you'd better not know. Once that kind of karma is involved with your current strength. Yu shook his head slightly. Senior, what realm do I need to reach to be qualified to know? Huang Ruming had a cautious expression. Unless you reach that realm. Yu said. You are talking about the realm above the immortal emperor, the god realm? Huang Ruming asked. Yes. Yu nodded. Hearing this, Huang Ruming sucked in a breath of cold air. Only by reaching that realm would one be qualified to know. How terrifying was this world! Yu's words were like a haze that shrouded Huang Ruming's heart. Madam, work hard and strive to reach the divine realm as soon as possible so that you can help Master. Yu said. Huang Ruming nodded heavily. She looked at Yu and asked, Senior, were you a god before? Not bad. Yu nodded, a look of reminiscence on its face, as if it had returned to 1,000,000 years ago. I've actually become an immortal king? Huang Yuli opened her eyes, her face filled with excitement. For a moment, he found it hard to calm down. Senior, Huang Yuli, will never forget the kindness you have shown me in this lifetime. Even if he worked like a cow or a horse, he still wouldn't be able to repay him. After a long time, Huang Yuli finally calmed down from her excitement. She walked up to Yu and bowed. Senior, thank you for saving my life. You're welcome. The one who should thank is not me, but the godly cunning immortal. Yu said. Senior, are you saying that the one who attacked just now was the godly cunning immortal? Huang Yuli asked. Not bad. Seeing Yu nod, Huang Yuli's face was full of surprise. Senior, do you know where I can see the godly cunning immortal? You have to ask the first princess. Yu said. Meng-er, you know the godly cunning immortal? Huang Yuli's face was full of surprise. Mother Empress, I know her. Huang Ruming's face was slightly red as she lowered her head. This scene was clearly captured by Huang Yuli. A mother knows her daughter best. How could Huang Yuli not be aware of such thoughts? She stepped forward, gently held Huang Ruming's hand, pulled her aside, and used her divine sense to transmit, Meng, tell mother the truth, do you admire the godly cunning immortal? Huang Ruming was startled, her expression changed slightly, and she waved her hand again and again. Don't be mine. A good Taoist companion must be grasped in my hands and taken the initiative to attack. Is that godly cunning immortal interested in you? Hurry up and tell mother. Hearing this, Huang Ruming revealed a thoughtful expression. When the young master was with him, that place was like a wild dragon coming out of the sea, his aura soaring to the sky. It was so scary. Young master was interested in her. And Huang Ruming's face was red to her ears, and her voice was smaller than a mosquito's. Xiaomeng, what's there to be shy about? Cultivate more feelings with the godly cunning immortal. Take mother to see the godly cunning immortal, Huang Yuli said. Mother, don't worry. Wait for the clansmen to wake up, Huang Ruming said. All right. Huang Yuli nodded her head repeatedly, her face filled with joy. Haha, I broke through. I actually broke through several realms in a row. Is this the power of the Earth Immortal? No thunder tribulation, incredible! Where is the mighty person who helped us break through? I'm going to pay a visit. The whole cave was filled with such voices. Surprise was written all over everyone's face. They all gathered around and stood in front of Yu, clasping their fists and saluting. Thank you, Senior, for saving our lives. You don't have to thank me. The one who should thank is the godly cunning immortal. After saying that, Yu's figure gradually faded and disappeared without a trace. Godly cunning immortal? In that case, the one who helped us break through just now was the godly cunning immortal. There is such a person in this world, it's really a great fortune. Patriarch, do you know where the godly cunning immortal is? Can you take us to pay a visit to him? Looking at everyone's fiery eyes, Huang Yuli smiled slightly. Everyone, I don't know, you have to ask Meng. While everyone's eyes were fixed on Huang Ruming. Huang Ruming nodded slightly and pressed her right hand forward. Buzz, the space ahead shook up layers of ripples. Everyone goes in from here, and you can see the young master. However, everyone should remember that the young master thinks of himself as a mortal, and you can't break his Tao heart, understand? Huang Ruming said solemnly. Princess, this is no problem at all. It's a piece of cake. Under the leadership of Huang Yuli, everyone walked into the ripples in turn and disappeared. When everyone disappeared, Huang Ruming's figure flickered and also disappeared in place. When she appeared again, she came to another space. Here, tens of thousands of people were imprisoned. Buzz. She waved her right hand, and in the space, there were layers of ripples. Everyone goes in from here, and you can return to Divine Phoenix Mountain. After speaking, Huang Ruming's body slowly disappeared. Above Golden Crow City, Sun Hao stopped playing the guqin and looked at the Blessing Point panel, his eyes shining. It actually increased by nearly 1,000 blessing points. It's been a long time since I've increased so much. Sun Hao withdrew his gaze and looked at Blood Wolf lying on the ground. Big Wolf, you're already a 7th grade immortal king, and you don't dare to go down? Master, the one below is not what I can deal with. Blood Wolf's eyes were full of fear. How is it? Are Rumring and the others okay? Sun Hao asked. Blood Wolf stretched out. Master, it's okay, the monster was killed. Hearing this, Sun Hao breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the buff he added was quite terrifying. It must have increased Ruming's strength a lot, so she could defeat that monster. Let's go down, Sun Hao said. Yes, Master. Blood Wolf followed Sun Hao and flew down from the sky, landing in Golden Crow City. With a move of his mind, he put the immortal boat back into the universe ring. Just standing still, the space not far away shook up layers of ripples. A figure walked out of the ripples. The person in the lead was Huang Yuli. She looked at Sun Hao and looked up and down. Dignified appearance, elegant demeanor, and the whole person seems to have an indescribable temperament. In this world there are people like young Master. If Meng can become his Tao companion, then I will be relieved. Speaking of this, she glanced at the sky, and a resolute color flashed. Retracting her gaze, Huang Yuli led the people and walked straight toward Sun Hao. "Greetings, young master." Huang Yuli bowed and saluted. Everyone's face flashed with a strange light. "Please get up, may I ask who you are?" Sun Hao looked at Huang Yuli and asked. "Young master, my name is Huang Yuli, the mother of Huang Rumring." As soon as these words came out, Sun Hao's pupils shrank and his face showed great shock. P.S. Group 9477828868, looking forward to your joining. Chapter 320. In the center of the heavenly demon continent. Boom! The sound of explosions kept ringing. The demon army rushed forward like a torrent, and in the sound of explosions, they were constantly torn into pieces. In the sky, standing were more than 500 immortals headed by Luo Luyen. Each of them exuded a strong aura. They took turns attacking and kept killing these demon armies. Satisfying, it's really satisfying. I've never been so happy before. My followers finally have a day where they can hold their heads up high. Such a voice kept ringing in the crowd. Ahead, Howl, the demon clan monsters pounced forward like a tide. Boom! With each explosion, a group of demonic beasts would be taken away. Knowing that they would die, they did not retreat. "Leader Luo, I feel something is wrong," Chen Daoming said. "I also have this feeling, they must be accumulating some kind of big move to stop us like this," Luo Luyen said. "Let me take 2 people to break through their encirclement and investigate," Chen Daoming said. "Okay." Luo Luyen glanced at the Flower Fairy and Mu Bing. "Elder Hua, Elder Mu, you 2 accompany Leader Chen to find out the situation." "Okay." The Flower Fairy and Mu Bing nodded at the same time. "Everyone else, attack with all your strength." With this command, everyone moved at the same time. Whoosh! More than 500 rays of light flew quickly toward the demon army. Each ray of light exuded the power of the immortal realm. The air around was constantly distorted and deformed. Boom! The light fell, and a spherical wave of air exploded in the demon army. Layers of shock waves spread rapidly. Within a few miles of the place where the skill fell, all the demon monsters burst into powder and disappeared without a trace. Good opportunity! Chen Daoming and the other 2 nodded to each other, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared instantly. Soon after, they came to the hinterland, looked at the scene in front of them, and couldn't help but be stunned. They saw that in front of a scarlet hall there was a huge cave. In the cave, the black wind was blowing. Howl, one monster after another kept running out of the cave. What is this? It actually produces monsters continuously? Chen Daoming's eyes were full of fear. This is the abyss. The Flower Fairy seemed to think of something and exclaimed, "Abyss." Chen Daoming and Mu Bing's eyes were full of doubts. The abyss is actually a world, just like our 3 realms. However, that world is filled with blood and violence. The weak are prey to the strong, and there are no rules. In ancient times, the abyss opened once. The entire 3 realms has fallen into chaos. That period of time was called the Dark Era, also known as the Era of God Destruction. It was during that period that all the gods disappeared. Even now, they have yet to recover. The Flower Fairy's words caused Chen Daoming and Mu Bing's faces to change dramatically. What? Even the gods have disappeared? Elder Hua, what should we do? Now that the abyss has opened, can we be opponents? Chen Daoming asked. Don't worry. This is not a true opening of the abyss. A group of priests must have sacrificed themselves to open the passageway. Normally, it won't last for too long. The amount of strength that can support the monster is also limited. The Flower Fairy said. Hearing this, the 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief and secretly wiped the cold sweat off their foreheads. Elder Hua's words were way too scary. Then let's destroy this passage. Chen Daoming said. Okay. The Flower Fairy and Mu Bing nodded at the same time. The 3 of them were preparing to act. Howl, a roar came from the abyss. The whole world was buzzing and trembling. Buzz, a big hand that covered the sky came out of the abyss. This hand was as big as a giant mountain, half of which stuck out of the blood mist. Swish, a sound of breaking through the air sounded. The entire blood mist kept whistling, and the sound of explosions kept ringing. Boom, a loud explosion shook the world. The big hand that covered the sky slammed the ground and smashed a group of monsters. It grabbed the ground, and the whole earth was shaking violently. Boom! There was another loud noise, and another big hand that covered the sky stretched out and fell heavily to the ground again. The dust on the ground seemed to be unable to stand this pressure and exploded in rows. Thousands of meters of dust shrouded the world. Howl, a roar. A giant horn appeared like a steeple. A rhinoceros-like head slowly emerged from the ground. Immediately afterward, a body of several thousand meters drilled out. The body of the rhinoceros monster seemed to be covered with thick rocks and looked indestructible. Chen Dao-ming and the others were as small as ants in front of the rhinoceros monster. This is an immortal king realm monster. The flower fairy's voice trembled. What are you afraid of? I am here. Between Chen Dao-ming's eyebrows, a knife-shaped mark slowly emerged. Don't be impulsive. The flower fairy hurriedly stopped him. This rhinoceros monster is by no means an ordinary immortal king. Looking at its appearance, it is at least a 5th-grade immortal king. Hearing this, Chen Dao-ming's figure stagnated and quickly stopped. 5th-grade immortal king? Chen Dao-ming's face was full of fear. 1 grade difference, the strength difference was several times. The difference of 5 grades was at least dozens of times. Although he was talented and powerful, he was only a 1st grade. Against a 3rd grade, he still had the power to fight. Against a 5th grade, there was no chance of winning. There was no comparison at all. Retreat. The 3 quickly retreated. Returning to Luo Luoyan, he told her the situation just now. Luo Luoyan's face showed caution. We have to solve it ourselves, we can't rely on the young master. Does anyone have any ideas? Luo Luoyan asked. Leader Luo, I have a way. Zhong Lilang stood up. Elder Zhong, please speak. I accidentally got a cultivation method that can connect the power of everyone and gather it into one person. It can burst out the ability to challenge above the rank. However, this requires the power gatherer to have an incomparably strong physical body. Otherwise, the body will explode and die. Zhong Lilang said. I'll do it. Chen Dao-ming stood up, full of confidence. Okay, let Leader Chen do it, quickly say the method. Okay. Zhong Lilang said the mantra, and after everyone heard it, they secretly remembered it in their hearts. Calm your mind and look inside. Under the leadership of Zhong Lilang, everyone began to mobilize their own strength and gathered it on Chen Dao-ming. Chen Dao-ming closed his eyes and felt the violent power in his body. Kacha. His whole body was expanding rapidly, growing bigger and bigger. 10 meters, 20 meters, in less than a moment, he grew to a height of 100 meters. Chen Dao-ming let out a roar, and the monsters that rushed forward all burst into powder. Boom! The sound of the earth shaking kept ringing. The rhinoceros monster rushed over quickly. It looked at Chen Dao-ming and the others and roared excitedly, as if it had seen the world's delicacies. Howl, the world trembled, and the sun and moon lost their light. A terrifying shock wave whistled in all directions. Everywhere it went, it exploded into powder. The monsters around it all disappeared. In the whole world, only the rhinoceros monster was left. It looked at the crowd like a bloodthirsty demon. Buzz, the sky-covering claws burst out with shocking power and rushed straight to the crowd. Chapter 321. Hurry up! Luo Luoyan roared. Everyone frantically extracted the power from their bodies and poured it into Chen Dao-ming's body. Kacha, his joints kept cracking. Chen Dao-ming's body expanded rapidly. He gritted his teeth and roared, crazily devouring all the immortal energy. 100,200 meters. 1,000 meters. It expanded to 2,000 meters before stopping. However, even so, in front of the rhinoceros, he was like a baby in front of a giant. There was simply no comparison. Bang, above Chen Daoming's head, the space was shattered. The big hand covering the sky was about to hit Chen Daoming. At this moment, buzz, Chen Daoming opened his eyes and 2 rays of light shot out. He raised his fist, aimed it at the sky-covering hand, and punched it. Boom! The earth-shattering noise was deafening. Chen Daoming and others flew upside down and fell heavily to the ground. The rhinoceros monster staggered back a few steps. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Howl! A roar shook the heavens and earth. The rhinoceros monster stared at Chen Daoming and stepped towards him. Greed and bloodlust engulfed him. Humph! Chen Daoming jumped up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and stared at the rhinoceros monster. At this moment, he clearly understood the difference in strength. Even if he gathered everyone's strength, he could still be considered a third-grade celestial king. However, he was still no match for the rhinoceros. Abyssal monsters were not to be underestimated. Now all hope was focused on him. Once he fell, everyone behind him would die here. Could it be that she needed the young master to save her again? No. Never. I can't rely on the young master for everything. He had to rely on himself. Chen Daoming gritted his teeth, pulled out the hatchet, poured immortal power into it, and rushed towards the rhinoceros monster. Ding! The hatchet only left a shallow mark on the rhinoceros. To the rhinoceros monster, it was not injured at all. The rhinoceros monster roared, and its claws covered the sky. In an instant it hit Chen Daoming. Boom! Chen Daoming fell heavily to the ground and exploded into a cloud of dust. After struggling to get up, he vomited blood incessantly. His blood was like a flood that swept across the land. It splashed the dust into the air. There must be a way. I cannot fall. Chen Daoming stared at the hatchet, his eyes motionless. Gradually, he closed his eyes and felt the call from the hatchet. I am the saber is me. Saber intent, saber power, saber fierceness, a voice, like thunder, blasted into Chen Daoming's ears. At this moment, the saber mark on his forehead lit up. 1,000-meter-long golden saber materialized in his hand. The blade grew brighter and brighter. The light was so dazzling that no one could look at it directly. Swish! The bloody mist in the sky dissipated. Golden strands of sunlight shone down and twined around the blade. Phew! The shocking power kept whistling on Chen Daoming's body. Howl! The rhinoceros monster roared again and again as it attacked crazily. However, all its attacks could not get close to Chen Daoming. As the broadsword in Chen Daoming's hand lit up, horror was written all over the rhinoceros monster's face. Without thinking about it, the rhinoceros monster turned around and ran away quickly. Seeing that the rhinoceros monster was about to jump into the abyss. At this time, Chen Daoming opened his eyes, and his 2 sharp eyes swept across the world. Heaven Destroyer's saber, break for me. After this sound, the golden broadsword slashed down. Gotcha! The sound of an eggshell cracking sounded. The rhinoceros monster's pupils shrank, and its eyes widened. On its body, cracks covered its whole body. The next second, boom, it burst open. With the rhinoceros monster as the center, there was a dull explosion. Boom! The earth shook and the mountains shook. The horror was boundless. Like an atomic bomb, it exploded. Layers of shock waves, overwhelming mountains and seas, swept the world. Everywhere it went, everything exploded into powder. No, the cries of unwillingness came to an abrupt end. All the devils were blasted into dust. In the sky, wherever the shock wave went, the bloody mist dissipated. When everything was calm, the entire heavenly demon continent was moved to the ground. Mountains, rivers, giant peaks all disappeared. In the dust, hundreds of figures stood up one after another. These people were Luoluyen and the others. There were no scars on their bodies. They looked around blankly, and in their eyes there was only shock. My God, President Chen's saber, I'm afraid it can kill a venerable immortal, right? This power is enough to destroy an entire continent. That kind of monster didn't even have a chance to struggle. Everyone looked at Chen Daoming, and their eyes were full of worship. They saw. Chen Daoming's body quickly shrank back to the size of a normal person. On his face, there was a gratified smile. Finally, the young master didn't make a move. After saying this, Chen Daoming fell to the ground and fainted. President Chen. Everyone rushed over and surrounded Chen Daoming. After the flower fairy checked his meridians, she smiled slightly. It's okay, I'm just exhausted. Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. President Chen is really amazing. Yes, yes. The light of worship all swept on Chen Daoming. Okay, the demons have been eliminated, let's go back. Luo Luyan said. Wait. The flower fairy said. Elder Hua, do you still have something else? Luo Luyan was puzzled. Of course. The flower fairy smiled and flew up into the air. She looked at the boundless continent and said, How can such a good place become a land of death? The flower fairy blew gently. Hundreds of millions of strands of light scattered all over the world and flew rapidly to all parts of the continent. After these strands of light landed, they drilled into the soil. Everyone, lend me a hand. Flower Fairy said. Okay. Everyone squeezed out the last trace of immortal power in their bodies again and released it on the Flower Fairy. She blew gently again. Hundreds of millions of strands of colorful light flowed all over the world, poured into the ground, and drilled into those seeds. These seeds, under the irrigation of immortal power, germinated rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, they drilled out of the ground and quickly spread the branches and leaves. Flowers of different colors bloomed one after another. The entire heavenly demon continent instantly became a sea of flowers. Seeing this scene, everyone's pupils shrank, and their faces showed incomparable shock. They looked at the Flower Fairy with admiration. Elder Hua, you are too powerful. Luo Luyan came forward, full of admiration. Not at all. The Flower Fairy waved her hand again and again. After following the young master for so long, what I have learned is nothing. These of mine are just some immortal flower seeds. It is entirely up to everyone to make them germinate. The Flower Fairy said. So beautiful. Su Yiling walked into the sea of flowers and kept jumping here and there, immersed in it. Elder Hua, amazing. Everyone surrounded her, their faces full of admiration. Hearing these praises, the corner of the Flower Fairy's mouth rose. Buzz, suddenly, the sound of a jade slip array sounded. Zhongli Lang took out the jade slip and opened it. His pupils shrank and his face changed slightly. Not good. Then, he stepped forward. Leader Luo, I have something important to do to return to the Supreme Court. Okay, Elder Hua, please send Elder Zhongli off. Okay. The Flower Fairy waved her right hand, and a teleportation vortex appeared in front of Zhongli Lang. Without any hesitation, Zhongli Lang walked into the teleportation vortex and disappeared. Chapter 322. Tianluo Continent, Supreme Court. Hurry up and let Zhongli Lang come out. A goatee in a brocade robe pointed at a group of protectors and shouted. Behind him, there was a group of men with extraordinary temperaments. The man in the lead had a full beard, and he stood there with a dignified air about him. No one dared to approach him. Even if he didn't release his aura, it was still domineering. This person was the ancestor of the Zhongli family, Zhongli Li. At the same time, he was also the leader of the 9 immortals of the human race. Everyone, the dean has something important to do and has not returned yet. Please rest here for a while. Protector Lin stood up and made a gesture of invitation. Presumptuous. The dignified ancestor is here, and Zhongli Lang dares not appear. The goatee shouted and waved his right hand. Pa! A crisp sound rang out. The goatee slapped Protector Lin's face. You dare to hit people? Behind Protector Lin, a protector stood up and pointed at the goatee. What's wrong with me hitting people? Not satisfied? The people of the entire Tianluo continent are just a group of dogs raised by my Zhongli family. The Ancestor is here, and Zhongli Lang dares not to appear, too presumptuous. If he doesn't appear, not to mention I hit a dog, even if I kill a dog, so what? The goatee pointed at the crowd arrogantly and domineeringly. You. The protector was about to rush forward, but was stopped by Protector Lin. Everyone, seeing that you are relatives of the dean, I can ignore the matter of hitting me. However, you humiliated my entire Tianluo continent, this matter can't be let go. Protector Lin took a step forward and glanced coldly at the goatee. As soon as these words came out, the goatee's expression stagnated, and he couldn't help but dig his ears, his face full of disbelief. The goatee cracked his mouth and laughed wildly. There was no concealment of that contempt in his eyes. The Ancestor ordered him to slap the face of the Supreme Court and force Zhongli Lang to obediently hand over the immortal wine. How could he not show some unique skills? He was not strong in anything, so he provoked the strongest. Then what do you want? The goatee asked with a smile. You kneel down and apologize, slap yourself 100 times, swear not to humiliate the Tianluo continent in the future, and this matter will be over, Protector Lin said. As soon as these words came out, the surroundings became deathly silent. Whether it was Zhongli or the protectors behind Protector Lin. At this moment, they stood rooted to the ground, motionless. After a long while, only then did the goateed man recover from his shock. Anger surged through his entire body. In the Violet Sun Star, there weren't many people who dared to speak to the Zhongli family in such a manner. A mere protector actually dared to be so arrogant. If they didn't destroy him today, did they really think that the Zhongli family was a pushover that they could pinch as they pleased? What if we don't? Goatee asked. Otherwise, you will die. His voice wasn't loud, but it was extremely domineering. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding air became stagnant. The corners of Goatee's mouth twitched, and his expression was extremely ugly. Good, very good. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. The goatee released his aura, took out a chessboard, and smashed it at Enforcer Lin. It looked like it was about to hit Protector Lin. At this moment, space trembled. A figure walked out of the ripples in the void. Who is presumptuous in my Supreme Court? This sound rose. Bang! The entire chessboard directly exploded. The person who came was a middle-aged man who looked to be around 30 years old. He was Zhongli Lang. Zhongli Lang, it's you. Seeing Zhongli Lang, Goatee's face changed, and he pointed at him and shouted, Do you want to stop me from killing a dog? Say it again? Zhongli Lang asked Goatee, and in his calm voice, there was a hidden flame of anger. What's wrong with saying it again? The people on the Tianluo continent are all my Zhongli family's dogs, and you are no exception. These words just fell. An immortal realm pressure instantly enveloped Goatee's body. At this moment, Goatee was pressed to the point that he couldn't move. He was horrified to find that his body flew out uncontrollably, and in an instant, he knelt in front of Zhongli Lang. Dare to insult the young master today, even if the Heavenly King comes, he can't save you. Zhongli Lang looked coldly at Goatee, and his ice-cold, killing intent came out continuously. Stop. Zhongli Lang, are you rebelling? The old Ancestor is here. How dare you be presumptuous? A man in a black robe stood up and shouted loudly. Zhongli Lang's eyes glared, and the black-robed man's body stepped straight back, his face full of fear. What about the old Ancestor? Get lost. If you dare to be long-winded again, die. The voice was not loud, but it was domineering. After the black-robed man heard it, his face was extremely ugly. He wanted to speak, but he didn't spit out a word for a long time. On the other side, Zhongli looked at this scene, and his face changed slightly. A wisp of anger flashed across his face. Zhongli, your wings are hard. Zhongli stepped forward, releasing his aura, and all of it pressed on Zhongli. Deng deng, Zhongli took 2 steps back, looking at Zhongli, and his eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Peak of heavenly immortal realm? Zhongli murmured, looking up at Zhongli. Old Ancestor, coming to my supreme court is really mighty. However, some dogs dare to insult the young master. Even if it's you, don't think about saving him. After speaking, Zhongli suddenly made a move. No, you dare. Boom, 3 sounds rang out at the same time. Goatee's body exploded, directly burst into a blood mist, and disappeared. At this moment, there was dead silence all around. What shocked everyone was not only Zhongli strength, but also Zhongli decisiveness. Killing a clansman in front of the old ancestor. It was simply audacious, and no one could match it. The corner of Zhongli's mouth twitched slightly, and his face was ugly. A branch descendant withstood his pressure and killed a clansman. This guy's strength was extremely not simple. It seemed that he must have drunk that immortal brew. Zhongli stepped forward, killing intent surging. Zhongli, killing a clansman in front of this old man. Today, if you don't give an explanation, don't blame this old man for killing. Zhongli smiled slightly, walked forward, and saluted with cupped fists. Old Ancestor, what kind of explanation do you want? Humph. Zhongli flicked his sleeves and walked into the hall. If you kill yourself here, this old man can give you a way out and let them live. Zhongli's voice was cold. Haha. Zhongli looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Old Ancestor, what if I don't kill myself? Zhongli said faintly. If you don't want to die, you have to take out 100 bottles of this immortal brew. After speaking, Zhongli took out a jade bottle and waved it in front of Zhongli. Haha, Zhongli smiled coldly with a calm expression. What if I don't take it? Don't take it? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhongli's figure turned into an afterimage and instantly disappeared on the spot. When he appeared again, he had already arrived in front of Protector Lin. A palm, like an iron king, grabbed towards Protector Lin's neck. That shocking aura made it so that Protector Lin couldn't resist at all. This is the strength of a peak heavenly immortal realm powerhouse? Protector Lin closed his eyes and quietly waited for death. Chapter 323. Ding, the sound of metal clashing rang out. Zhongli staggered backward, using a lot of strength to stabilize himself. His eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Zhongli. Such a scene was witnessed by everyone, and they could not help but be stunned on the spot. Shock and disbelief were written all over his face. Zhongli, are you betraying my Zhongli clan? Zhongli's voice was ice-cold. Haha, Zhongli looked up to the sky and laughed, his eyes red. He pointed at Zhongli and said, Zhongli, when did you think I was a member of the Zhongli family? Our family members were all sent to carry out dangerous missions, and all of them died tragically. I'm the only one left now. You still have the cheek to talk to me about betraying the Zhongli clan? All of you are here today to obtain the celestial brew. I have these things, and I still have a lot of them. However, do you deserve to have them? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhongli withdrew a few jade bottles and placed them in his hand. As soon as this item appeared, it instantly attracted Zhong Yixi's attention. That kind of greed was not concealed at all. Zhongli, give it to me. Zhong Yi released his aura and stretched out his hand. For you? Zhongli laughed coldly and put it away. Old bastard, are you trying to rob me? Humph, so what if I am? If you don't hand over all the celestial brew today, don't even think of leaving this place. After he finished speaking, Zhong Yi pounced towards Zhongli. Boom, the two of them started fighting again. For a time, chi waves surged and explosions rang out continuously. After a while, Thud, thud, the two of them staggered backward, filled with fear towards each other. Damn it, how can he be so strong? Zhong Lizi placed his hands behind his back. His hands were trembling. The pain kept coming. He used a secret technique to strengthen his body by several times. He was actually still not a match for Zhong Lilong. How could this be possible? Zhong Lilang, looks like you really want to betray the clan. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being merciless. Zhong Lizi bellowed. The aura on his body expanded rapidly. Waves of qi swept out in all directions. However, in the next second, Zhong Lizi noticed to his horror that Zhong Lilang had suddenly appeared before him. The punch was as fast as lightning, directly hitting his abdomen. Bang! There was a loud noise. Zhong Lizi's body flew backwards, heavily crashing into the ground. Pooh! He spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell to the ground, and after struggling a few times, he was unable to stand up. He was heavily injured in one blow. Such a scene directly scared the others to the point of stupefaction. They stared blankly at Zhong Lilang, and their eyes were filled with fear. How could Zhong Lilang be so strong? He didn't even use his immortal force to injure the old ancestor with one punch. Just how terrifying is his body? I used to bully him a lot. What should I do now? More than a dozen Zhongli clan elders looked at Zhong Lilang, and their bodies involuntarily trembled. Phew! Zhong Lilang's gaze swept past, and everyone lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. How can your physical body be so strong? With the help of others, Zhong Lizi stood up. His eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Zhong Lilang. Zhong Lilang was complacent in his heart when he heard this. He had tempered his fleshly body in the Taiji Divine Pagoda. It would be strange if he was not strong. You have no right to know. Zhong Lilang looked at Zhong Lishi with an ice-cold expression. Logically speaking, no one would dare to say anything if I killed you. However, considering that you are related to me by blood, I will temporarily spare your lives today. From today onwards, I will sever all ties with the Zhongli clan. Get lost. Zhong Lilang shouted loudly, shocking them to the point that their expressions changed greatly. Zhong Li opened his mouth, but could not say a word. That feeling of powerlessness surged throughout his body. At this moment, it was as if he was facing an immortal king, without any fighting spirit at all. Looking at Zhong Lilang's appearance, he did not use his full strength at all. A branch family disciple who had given up, in just a few hundred years, had actually grown to a realm that he had to look up to. This kind of disparity was simply indescribable. With their help, Zhong Li stood up. Just as he was about to walk out, he seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Zhong Lilang and asked, "Where is little friend Jing Tian? Zhongli Jing Tian? He offended a great figure and has been beheaded." As soon as these words came out, thud, thud, Zhong Li's body took 2 steps back, and his face revealed an extremely ugly expression. The corners of the others' mouths twitched slightly, and their faces were filled with horror. Everyone's face, as if they had eaten a fly, became deathly pale. Say that again? The corner of Zhong Li's mouth twitched slightly. Ancestor, are your ears deaf? I said Zhongli Jing Tian is dead. Zhong Lilang pressed his chest with an ugly expression. He pointed at Zhong Lilang. This, such a big thing, why didn't you say it? He is a member of the main family, Zhong Lijiao's only son. With Zhong Lijiao's personality, the entire Purple Sun star will probably be buried with him. Zhong Lilang's face was deathly pale. You don't have to worry about this, quickly get lost. Zhong Lilang released his aura, and it wrapped over like a tsunami. Let's go. Zhong Lilang's expression was dispirited, and he brought everyone and staggered away. He summoned the immortal boat and fled quickly. After Zhong Lilang and the others left, the corners of Zhong Lilang's mouth rose, and he was in a good mood. Hundreds of years of suppression was finally released at this moment. Zhongli, I hope you have some self-awareness and don't ask for trouble. Otherwise, the entire Zhong family will be killed by you. Zhong Lilang looked at the sky and muttered to himself. Zhong Lilang turned around and looked at Guardian Lin. Today, you did a good job. Thank you, Grand Dean, this is my duty. Guardian Lin clasped his hands and said. You don't have to be so polite. By the way, have you reached the peak of the half-celestial stage? Zhong Lilang asked. Yes, Grand Dean, thanks to the young master's celestial brew, I have grown to this point. In the past few days, I have been suppressing my realm and dare not break through. Guardian Lin said. I will take you to a place to break through. I guarantee you will become an immortal. Zhong Lilang said. What? Guardian Lin's eyes were full of disbelief. Zhong Lilang smiled slightly and did not explain. He took out the communication jade slip and sent a message to the flower fairy. Buzz, the sky shook with layers of ripples. Come with me. The two walked into the ripples one after the other and disappeared. Tian Luo Continent, the periphery of the Central Prefecture, Immortal City. The sky shook with layers of ripples and several figures came out of it. The person in the lead was a handsome young man with blue hair. This person was the eldest son of the Milky Way Dragon King Han Ming. Your Royal Highness, beside Frost Savage were 5 attendants. One of them had golden skin and a pair of incomparably sharp eyes. As soon as he opened his mouth, he was stopped by Han Ming. Here, just call me young master. Yes, too. Young master. Several people clasped their fists together and said, Young master, let me catch these ants and interrogate them one by one? The golden-skinned man asked. No. Han Ming immediately stopped him. I've just arrived, I must first find out the situation, nothing can be reckless. Young master, a waystar, why bother so much? If I make a move, I will directly arrest that person named Sun Hao, there is no problem. The golden-skinned man said. Han Ming smiled and shook his head. Golden Vulture, you are still so impatient. In case the celestial brew is not brewed by Sun Hao, what's the use of catching him? Only when we confirm that it is brewed by Sun Hao, we can do it, so that we can save another trip, don't you think so? Han Ming said. Young master is still wise. The golden-skinned man smiled awkwardly, lowered his head, and stopped talking. Who is willing to go and inquire about the situation? Han Ming asked. Young master, I am willing. At this time, a purple-haired man stood up. Purple Lightning, then it's up to you. Remember, when you enter the human territory, you must not be impulsive. If you encounter anything, report to me first. Han Ming said. Young master, don't worry. I, Purple Lightning, am not good at anything, but I am fast. If I encounter something, I will have no problem escaping. Purple Lightning touched the mustache at the corner of his mouth with a confident look. Okay, go and come back quickly. Han Ming said. Yes, young master. After speaking, Purple Lightning turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed toward the Central Prefecture, Immortal City.